All right, everybody, welcome once more to Discussing Tabletop as I take off the top screen there. Of course, it's May 2nd. We've reached May. Yay. Boom, 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 boom. I don't know if there's a good reason for May to be exciting, but, hey, we're almost into this summer season close. A month away,
Good.
we're getting
Well,
started.
I enjoy May weather.
May's not too bad. I feel like that's kind of like more ideal temperature in East Coast a lot of times. It's the not too hot, not too cold kind of temperature, which
Hmm
is technically the best.
It's the 4 weeks of spring we get.
Mhm.
See, that sounds nice because our our 4 weeks of spring is over and now it's summer.
Mm,
Yeah, as soon as it hits
sorry.
June, it's the humid times.
There we go. Fix all
Yeah. I mean, we have 1 month of winter and then 2 weeks of fall, 2 weeks of you know, spring, and then the rest of it summer.
Here's the interesting thing is I'm like in an interesting spot because you have the Great Lakes to keep you humid
Yeah.
and a
hmm
little closer to the coastline would make that area humid. I'm in that area where it's a crapshoot whether or not I'm getting humidity. It's like a roll the die. Am I getting it in coming in across the state from the lakes? Is something coming in from the sea? I don't know. It's roll the
Yeah.
die. Do we get humidity
So
now?
I mean,
California is odd because it is actually a desert. So it's actually even by the coast, not that humid.
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, we have Erie, we have the Ohio River, we have the Allegheny River, we have the Monongahela River, all in this area that is just like your weather is gonna suck.
Yeah. Look, I can't complain too much about random weather. It's usually fine. It's just fine. Not great.
My God,
Not
and
terrible.
every time I go outside, I got to worry about fucking cryptids killing me too, because I live in Appalachia.
The power of Appalachia to spook you. Yeah. Uh. But yeah. But yeah. So, how did everybody's week go? I think I'll start off because I'm kind of starting this entire thing here. I think my week was okay. I did get some start on the decks. I was talking about my Magic decks that I'm making, and I started work on my Arabian Nights Antiquities revised decks because, sure, I might use some extra cards that weren't in revised from those sets. Spoiler: there's not a lot that didn't end up in the actual revised that are actually any good. Turns out that's why they were reprinted in there because they just were like the good ones. Educating myself on old Magic again. It's fun. And I don't think there was anything else major that happened for me this week. I was tempted to rewatch an anime series. I haven't yet, but it was basically someone who was talking about it, and I'm like, it wasn't so bad, and I'm like, I'm interested in watching it, even though it's like one of those ones that's kind of like it's middle of the lane, maybe a little above it. It's not like
Where
really
do
great.
you watch your anime?
I tend to have a lot of it saved to my computer at this point in time from
Okay.
eons past. I don't really. If it turns out to be I'll like wait to delete stuff until the season's done. After I download a lot of stuff
Mm-hmm.
for many 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 years now, and
Well,
then if it turns
on
out to be
on
like
your
quotation good, I
mhm.
save it and keep it.
On your totally legal Crunchyroll account
Mm-hmm.
that you definitely have. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I actually started watching the Arknights anime. It's
Ooh,
quite good.
interesting.
It's also very long because it's been going on since 2022.
There's definitely some places where I would have to go to watch other things like other sites and stuff like that because generally speaking I have a it's like small window of places I check out, and then like when I look at what's available for the season, there's definitely sometimes I'll see something I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't watch any of that because it's like there, and some people talk about, oh, this one's very good. Like I never really I probably could now because I think the household has it officially, but I never like watched the Castlevania ones because it was on Netflix, and it took forever for anybody in the household to get Netflix. Not that I really jump into it, but it has some good, generally good reviews on that one. I just never got to it, so because um, anyway, so yeah, that was kind of mostly my week. I don't think there was anything you know, again, it's the same old of interesting conversations here and there that sometimes
Mhm.
occur. But I usually put anything that's like a particularly interesting video over in my YouTube section on my Discord. So, yeah. What are the big things there? I'm just seeing if there's anything this week. Just the interesting Strixhaven product that you're probably not going to buy. That the professor liked.
Oh yeah.
We printed not enough of it.
Hell
Thanks.
yeah, we love when that keeps happening.
Yeah. When it's a product that goes to stores, we didn't print enough of it. Granted,
Nice.
that's not a new problem for Wizards. I'm gonna
No,
say
that's been happening for a while.
you know, I'm gonna pick up that oh, I've got a couple of them. I think the from the Vault series. It was from the Vaults, which were like a premium product with really nice, really cool foil cards that they printed. Never printed enough. Always got marked up. So it's not a old new problem. How did everybody else's weeks go? Oh yeah.
Yeah. I did some stuff. Work. I got caught up at work. Was that this week or last week that I got caught up at work? I think it was last week that I got caught up. Yeah. And then this week I kind of just stayed caught up, but I had a bit of extra stuff to do. But in between that stuff, I started prepping for the game I'm gonna start running every other Sunday. Hooray!
Hurrah!
And record and podcast.
Nice. You know.
Nice.
Yep. Look, getting some work done on it's always good. Always a thumbs up.
Mhm.
Yep. How about you, Momo? How was your week?
It's been a kind of a busy week for me because in addition to tabletop stuff, I'm also deeply invested in the video games industry still. I'll just go over like the three big things, I guess. The new Final Fantasy 14 expansion got announced, and we're currently in the good the good phase of the "it's so over, we're so back" cycle, which has happened so much with this goddamn MMO.
I was hearing some things about
Which
it that made Final Fantasy 14.
Okay.
I was hearing some stuff about it because I didn't finish the Friday's Geek Anglers, but Jesse was talking about it because he was there, and I know he's talked about it a few times. Jesse Cox, it is interesting to see the direction that they're going is very different than World of Warcraft, and I feel like I'm not gonna lie. Here's what I'm gonna say about my thing with MMOs. Never been interested in it. It's sounding the most appealing out of all the MMOs at this point in time.
Here's the cool thing about Final Fantasy 14. It's basically a single player game.
Yeah. You can play through the majority of the story single player.
It is
and
the
after that
loneliest
it's just casual.
It is the loneliest MMO experience you'll ever have, and it's also the least grindy MMO. And they're making it even less grindy.
Wait. A Final Fantasy game is the least grindy?
Yeah, there's not a lot of grind in it, and they're making it, instead of a daily login grind, it's going to be a weekly login grind.
And that's not weekly things aren't too bad, you know. That in comparison, certainly, like speaking, you know, finding that time once a week to do something is a lot easier than once a day.
Mm-hmm.
We're very much so.
Absolutely.
And the idea that they're making like I just heard they're making like all the classes a little easier to play. I'm like, that's kind of neat too.
They're making the game more appealing to a broader audience, and they're discontinuing PS4 support, which means that the game is no longer being held back by old hardware.
Okay.
Because when they discontinued PS3 support a while ago, they were able to vastly expand on the graphics of the game. And with PS4 being dropped in 2 years, they'll be able to really focus in on like the data transfer rates and back-end stuff, because the PS4 was really bad at that, and that's been holding it back for a while.
Gotcha. So
so it's improvements all around, and also the last expansion sucked, and this one looks way better.
Oh, cool. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up all around. Yay.
Yay.
Maybe I'll go back and play it finally. I haven't played it in like a year.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm still probably not gonna play it, but it is the most
No,
appealing
it's fair.
it's been.
I mean, MMOs are a life commitment.
Yeah.
But if you want to play it, it's currently now is free up to the third expansion, Shadowbringers, which is, in my opinion, the peak content of the game.
That's what I always heard about for that one. So yeah, cool. Anything else that kind of was big over your week here?
I started playing Pragmata. It's very good. I'm gonna have a really hard time with Game of the Year this year because at this rate it's gonna be all Capcom.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that, like, you know, it's been a pretty good year on a lot of stuff, I think, so far, for stuff. I think it's interesting to see that, you know, we have a good certainly indie market, and, you know, as much as we can bust on a lot of things about the AAA industry, at very least Capcom's out there doing stuff.
Capcom is the only AAA company doing things like right at the moment, which is nice.
Which is so funny because, like, the only thing a AAA company has to do things right is just to make fucking games.
Pretty much, like, that's why I'll bring video. I harp on Microsoft and Xbox a lot because truly they have so much market share potential, but they just make mid to okay games. They have not made a banger game in quite a while. And it's going to kill them because I just think they're incapable of making like high quality good games anymore because everything that's come out has been like a 7 or a 6 out of 10.
Yeah. I mean, EA just
like
makes
I like Starfield. I think Starfield's an okay game. I don't think it's gonna save it didn't save Microsoft. I don't think the new Fable will save Microsoft either because I don't think they're gonna do it right. But
yeah,
Nope. Like, it's the thing of, like, it's the awful greed of Nintendo holds it back in a lot of ways.
It's more the litigious nature of Nintendo.
And unironically, Nintendo and Capcom are the only two doing things correctly.
And even Nintendo's not.
Nintendo's got its issues.
Yeah.
I don't want like more than because they're super litigious. They're really weird about things, and they're not like greedy. Like, I wouldn't call them greedy. They do kind of. That's
true.
kind of the
they
one
aren't the
thing
most
that makes
greedy.
them not as bad.
Yeah.
Nintendo at the moment is the only big company that treats video games and consoles as what they are, toys.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess it's their tradition as a toy company that they still have that deep within them, you know? Again, because, like, I'm not going to lie, even though it's not my style of game, Okopia came out this year, and that was just such a left field for... I saw someone do a full playthrough of that game, and I'm like, damn, you know? It's such a fascinating, like, game that you're like, where the hell did this come from, Nintendo? And they do that occasionally. You get your stuff you expect from them, and then they throw these curveballs that you're like, where the hell did you come up with this idea? And they're like, someone over there thought about it.
I still like Nintendo and Capcom because they make video games.
Yeah, and that's a fair response to have. I personally dislike Nintendo because of how they treat their community, which
completely
is why,
fair.
Yes.
Which is why I actually don't want to support them. To be fair, I don't support EA or Ubisoft either. Although EA, it's because they only make gambling games now, and Ubisoft, I don't really. They just don't make anything good.
It's fine.
They make the same game.
Probably be gone in a year.
They've got another game that's the exact same one. Don't worry about it. It's totally different.
It's like
totally
Ubisoft is, hey, here's this game. It's exactly the same as the 5 last games that made us popular that we haven't changed the formula for.
Here's the
worse.
Cool thing about Ubisoft. When you buy an Ubisoft game, you know you're getting something of consistent quality, which is okay.
Yes, you're going to be okay quality. Yeah.
EA, if it doesn't have loot boxes in it, then it's probably a terrible game. Yep. And if it does have loot boxes in it, it's also a terrible game for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, the last EA game I played was the Dead Space remake. I'm not gonna I didn't play Velguard. I'm probably not gonna play the new Mass Effect because I don't care.
Hey, look, you know,
those two franchises are already dead to me. So
I got a little Sony support. They're not terrible. I'm playing a game from 8 years that they put up on Steam.
Nice.
You know?
If they make a third one of those, you're not getting that on PC.
Yeah, I know. They're turning away from PC. Just makes me sad. It's kind of like, damn
At
it.
this point,
Everyone's
99%
going-
of the games I play are indie.
The walls are going back up.
The only company I probably buy their games, other than like indie games, or at this point, are like Bethesda.
Yeah, for me, the only company that I'm like, I will still pre-order your games are Capcom, because they have a consistent quality of bangers.
Yeah. But still, so
I find for me Bethesda is just fun, whether or not
Yeah.
it's a bad or good game. They're just
Absolutely.
hey, Subnautica 2 in a couple of weeks, and I really liked that game.
I
The right
will not
people
play it because I am horrified of the ocean.
Ah.
But I'll watch someone
I
play it.
I'm happy
Need
the
to
right
play
people are in
Subnautica
charge
1
of it.
still.
Yeah.
I should do that.
The
That should be on my game list. I should add that to my game list.
When I tried to play Subnautica 1, I got to the point where you go down so far that there's no light, and my body was like, shut off now, we're done.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I'm the kind of person who finds that terrifying, but in an exhilarating kind of way, where it's just all like, this is like, I don't know, it's like a mystery. But it's also a terrifying mystery.
I love that game. I found the semi-sequel, what was it called? I'm sorry to remember. Beyond
Below Zero.
Below Zero. Below
Zero.
Zero.
I
It was
wanted to say
fine.
Sub-Zero, but I'm like,
Yeah,
wait,
it was fine. But like, I like the original, and I even played the randomizer for it, which is just funky because it's just randomize what you need for building stuff. So it's like,
Below-
I'm gonna harvest weird plants to build my like base.
Below Zero is the one I have finished because there are no like absence of light zones.
Mm.
They don't have abyssal zones, yeah.
Nope. So that's the
Even-
only one I've actually finished because my
even the-
body let me.
Even the deep area has like glow to it, and stuff too. It's very
Mhm.
much more volcanic and stuff too. Yeah. So. Not that there aren't horrific monstrosities from beyond the veil and
absolutely.
stuff like that, but
That's not the scary part for me. The scary part's the ocean.
Mhm. So nice stuff coming out.
Yeah, it's been an alright week for me. Just been a busy one of here's like 100 news articles.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of been an interesting thing of trying to find a better way of managing my schedule. I've started working on that this week, at least for now, with how things go in my normal life. So it's kind of like I've got to readapt. Yay! I hate doing that. I like when I make a decision, stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, what'll definitely fix that is if you start playing Final Fantasy 14.
Not going to be doing that. I'm going to say no to that. Look, I still have to either, well, technically didn't finish 12 again, but I got to do that, maybe. And then I do want to replay a bunch of games and maybe do some of those newer ones that I never did, maybe. Who knows? Anyway, shall we talk about some tabletop newsy stuff? Let's dive into that.
Sure.
We'll start with a little bit of RPG news. I don't remember us talking about it. I think we may have mentioned something like this was coming out, but I couldn't recall. But we now have some more information on, because not only Marvel can have a TTRPG, DC is getting one too, which is, I mean, fine. I think they've had one in the past.
Yeah.
We just haven't had one for years now at this point in time, and with the Marvel one coming out, and DC doing kind of okay again. It went through some ups and downs and has some interesting things it's been doing.
Like, the whole thing with DC, in my opinion, is they actually tend to do things pretty well, except for live-action movies.
Yes. The big budget
Yeah.
stuff.
Then they're like,
tends to be
popularity ebbs and wanes with their live-action releases. So it's kind of like this
Yeah.
catch-22 they're in.
Yeah.
They keep trying to make it, but then they never go well.
They're on the we're so back portion of their movie
Yeah.
cycle.
Yeah, like all the animated stuff they've always ever done have done pretty good. I think, have they done better animated than Marvel? In the long
Marvel
run?
animated stuff is pretty meh.
Yeah, there's
And
a couple
I
of
kinda prefer...
there's a couple of good ones, but more bad ones I think in Marvel than DC has done for good ones. It's like
Mhm.
X-Men anime is good, but then like there's a lot of not X-Men that came out in the
'Cause,
90s and early 2000s that weren't good.
The Superman movie was really good. Supergirl looks like it's going to be really good. They released a trailer for the Clayface horror movie that also looks really good.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and Batman is just like well, look, I'm not gonna lie, you know, everybody calls out the Batman animated series.
Yeah.
You know, you point that one out, and you're like, look, they can just
One
do
of the
stuff like
best.
that. You know.
Batman is very consistently good.
So
Yep.
they're gonna do
Yeah.
crowdfunding campaign a little later this year. It looks like they're gonna be going on GameFound. And so yeah, we'll have to know
That's
more.
good. Yeah, I do want more superhero tabletop RPGs.
But the
I think they're cool, and currently the only one we really have is Mutants and Masterminds, which is kind of rough to play until the new edition comes out.
it's not bad. I've only
It's very much a legacy tabletop game.
I haven't had a good chance to deeply look at the Marvel one. I think it was okay from what I've seen so far. Again, me remembering off the top of my head,
Mhm.
just remembering what I saw because I haven't had a deep dive with that one, unfortunately. But yeah, like again, it's like one of those ones is I liked playing Aberrant, but I'm not gonna lie, Aberrant is kind of a little bit of a different beast. It's not a traditional superhero RPG. It's very different, you know. Like Mutants and Masterminds really is the if you want something a little bit more quintessential superhero, you play that, but old, very much
Yeah.
so. Like,
By the way, I just learned something. I just learned recently that apparently superhero, one word, is trademarked by DC and Marvel.
It is.
they share a trademark over it. I guess maybe they did that.
Yeah, probably because they like. I don't know the details behind that, but yeah, apparently they both can use it.
If you want another silly fun fact, for about, I think it was 20 or 30 years, Marvel owned the word zombie.
Yep. Anyway, but trademark is a mess. We're just gonna say that.
Not as much as copyright. It's actually getting more of a mess because trademark used to be like more restrictive, but they're letting more and more garbage through, which is making it more of a mess. But
Yeah.
Nothing will ever be as much of a mess as patents.
Yes. Especially
No.
video game related.
order of mess: patents, copyrights, trademarks.
Yep.
Anyway, so D&D Beyond, it's going back to a semi a la carte. Now, this is something that I honestly wasn't aware of too much because I didn't know much, but early D&D Beyond was very a la carte, what you purchased, and they're kind of going back to this. Is this a good or bad thing? I'm going to kind of put it at that middle of we'll have to see. So, like, now you don't have to buy the full books. You can basically buy something for your thing. This might be better for players, I think.
I think this is largely better for players.
Yes.
For DMs, you're still gonna probably just buy the full book anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that it's one of those things that's me in my cynic nature worries that there could be an abuse of, but if it's done decently and there's no problems.
Look, I've said my opinions on D&D Beyond and how you shouldn't use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to be an agreement of many degrees. I prefer other places.
If you're buying D&D books, you should always buy them physically.
Yeah.
If you can, of course.
Yeah. It's just the unfortunate thing of most other places, you know, you tend to be able to buy PDF versions of them.
Yeah, and Wizards doesn't do PDFs.
Yeah.
I have heard legitimate reasons to do it, such as you are actively like a paid DM who, you know, and so so it's like a business expense, and it's easier in some respects if you're using it all the time.
So it's not like
it's got its uses.
Yeah, it's got its uses.
Casual players, literally, there's almost no benefit.
No.
Yeah. So anyway, so we're getting back to that. So hey, interesting. We'll see how it goes. We were just talking about Star Trek the other week, and I'm going to be May the 4th on Monday. But we are also getting something that we didn't get last edition. I don't remember us getting a last edition. We're getting an Allies and Adversaries book for Star Trek, we're getting the closest thing to a bestiary Star Trek could have, and we haven't had one. And I didn't realize it until I saw this book, and I'm like, wait a second, we didn't have this last time.
No, he didn't, because you don't really do combat in the original one, and combat's also really bad in the original one.
I think the idea on this one is, because it's allies and adversaries, it's meant to present them as a NPC stats for something, and whether or not you fight it or not, or have various kind of conditions with it, at least it's a stat block of something, there.
Yeah.
And
I think you their roles, at least.
Yeah. So that could be good. It's one of those things of, it wasn't as critical, but I could definitely see a lot of uses for it for plenty of stories that there are too. And, it is interesting that we're getting it, I guess.
I see lower decks art in the little 6 previews. So I hope they put the Moopsie in.
Yes.
That's actually a good point. That's probably why they're doing it, is because they have had a lot more monster fighting in there, even in their. And there's been a lot more monsters in their shows lately.
Yeah. And I think it's all because they can do them a lot more. And I think there are certain things that are more adversary based, or at least, possible adversary based in a lot more.
Yeah, because if you think about because if you think about the original series, it's always entity that's so powerful that you there's no fighting them. Civilization that's doing something bad that you have to negotiate with. Etc. etc. It's
yep.
They rarely had here's this dangerous thing that we need to neutralize. It was very rare.
It's also good that they're doing more for this, because Star Trek is, I think, their second oldest tabletop RPG, so they have the experience to learn better.
Yeah. And there are definitely time periods and different things that you could do adventures in that would probably involve possible combat. Hey, I'm looking at everything that deals with the Dominion War. If someone wants to do a story with that, they need those stats, from the Breen.
Half of Deep Space Nine is explosions.
Yeah. And it's certainly funny. There's plenty of stuff. I don't think they have stats for a lot of stuff that's in the Delta Quadrant, because I guess you'd have to go to the Delta Quadrant book. But Voyager had its fair share of things. It's I feel definitely post next gen, we got a more interesting mix of things where they'd be they were getting into combats and stuff too, but it would tend to be more situational. It's next gen is the more ideal.
Voyager's biggest monster was its showrunner.
Oh, you're not wrong. Oh, Voyager, you had issues, but yeah. So we're getting the book coming out soon. I believe it is out in, where is the dates on here? I saw the dates and I know it's just gone from my brain here. Pre-orders for July, it looks like that.
Yeah, they'll ship in July. Yeah,
very good.
Yeah, so coming soon. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out.
And usually when the pre-orders are out is also when they make the PDFs available.
Yep. So, a lot of factions, information from minor and major and notable NPCs in those factions, along with some other, it looks like various creatures and statistics that you can find there too. So yeah, cool. And they do say rules and guidance for creating your own creatures too, which is a good thing. Hey, I like having rules for creating strange aliens, which may or may not be friends to my Star Trek crew, depending on how well you roll against it. Maybe it's semi-hostile, and you have to either negotiate with it or find a way to appease it, rather than just blasting it. Or maybe that's your final option, and you have to blow it out of the sky because it's become so threatening to your ship and crew. And you must then ponder over the loss of such a great creature. Space Worm number 5.
Never fight the space me.
Now it changed from an actual worm, earthworm, to a space dragon you're fighting. It's just gnawing on a starship in my brain. Thank you. Blade Runner's getting some books. The Blade Runner RPG by Free League. They are pre-ordering the Replicant Rebellion, an asset pack and solo mode for it there too. So you're getting a couple of little books there too. It looks like the asset and solo mode is a box set kind of booklety thing that you can get. So it's got some detailed guidelines for doing adventures with that. And of course, then we have our big old campaign expansion with players taking roles of members of the Replicant Underground. Such a very interesting direction to take things too, and cool on that one.
Nice.
It's definitely one of those ones that, again, taking a step back, I watched the original Blade Runner in bits and pieces over the years. I think I've seen enough of it to say like I've seen like 90% of it, but I've never sat down and watched the original thing fully. And probably not the best version of it, because probably it was like a TV version of it, you know.
There are 4 cuts, and you just have to pick the right one.
I probably did not watch the full cut. So I always found a very interesting one, but it's that kind of place where I ended up watching enough of it that I didn't have enough interest to come back and watch it again. And then I have not seen any of the newer ones that they did, you know, any of the other things too. So I'm not a great one.
The Blade Runner anime was very good.
I heard stuff about that. It's pretty good. It's one of those ones that, you know, places to find it never went.
Yeah, I mean it's a Netflix show, so it's hard to find anywhere else.
Hey, Netflix, you know. So it's definitely one of the more interesting ones. Like I think they started with the traditional route of like our main character kind of investigations kind of things for.
Yeah, you start out as a titular Blade Runner. Now you get the other side.
Yeah, and I think that's good. It's as I kind of say with like a lot of these very franchise-based RPGs.
Yeah, it's IP-based RPG.
Yeah, IP-based RPGs. Expanding beyond the traditional directions is a good way to make the world a little better and make the RPG a little bit better. So thumbs up on that. What's the date for these?
Because the problem with most RPGs are hard, because like if you think about like you've got like stories such as, you know, movies, books, and TV shows. Then you have the next tier, which is video games, which requires you to like build out an expansive kind of little world. Even if it's a linear video game, you tend to have a lot more there. And then you have something like an RPG where you actually have to just explain how the world works, which I find so interesting when like IPs do that kind of thing, because it's just all like, oh, you know, you want to learn this random bit of info so that you don't have to read a whole book to find out about.
Yep. If you're interested in a good IP video game RPG, I recommend the Dragon Age one. It was very good.
So
I think you can get it for fairly cheap as well now, because it's no longer being developed.
I think I have it.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. Any RPG has a good mechanic for a death monologue. You just have to do it at the right time. A
now
good
with
DM
this
or good player knows when to give someone the opportunity for death monologue.
With this book, you can have your death monologue in the rain, and it's very sad.
At time in the rain.
And then they can cut it from the theatrical cut and ruin the movie.
Oof. 26th. If you're interested in these two products, they are coming out then. So that will be both the Replicant book and, of course, the asset pack / solo mode. So yeah, the asset pack's just a bunch of like, extras too on top of it.
And then your players can go, oh wait, he's still got enough life to breathe. That means I can cast Cure Wounds on him and get him up.
Just let me die. No, you must continue the fight. Oh, damn it.
That's always something I want to pull in a D&D game is when I get like Breath of Life or whatever the 5e one is. I just want to be like, why? I wanted to die.
I was done my mission.
I was happier.
I saw my family. So Worm, you got the new Paizo box set. How's that going?
Yeah. Ta-da.
Cool.
There we go.
I would take it this is a new introductory adventure in here too.
Yeah, so this is a new box set. That's also why it's all like beginner box Secrets of the Unlit Star.
Okay.
I didn't really read through the adventure, but I kind of liked the stuff that was in here. I did go over it all.
Okay.
You know, you got some dice which are very distinctly color coded.
that's good.
You can't quite see the green one, but that one's also getting picked up. But I like that they have these bases for what are the card-based monsters or cutouts.
Oh, the paperboard stuff that they like using a lot and stuff.
Come on, there we go. Yeah, and they've got a bunch of these.
Look, as much as they are just like paper and stuff and the little cardboardy paper things, I do like the Pathfinder pawn boards. You know, they're simple. They're not anything crazy, but like, you know, they're kind of neat.
Yeah. And the thing I find interesting is that they have like a bunch of these that are just generic. Like it says like barbarian dwarf female, monk human male, monk orc female, minotaur. Oh well, that seems like an enemy. You know, sorcerer orc female, and then they have the you know, the 4 pre-gen characters, because they do have rules for making a character in here. So it's not just straight up you know. That's what I like about this beginner set, is that like, yeah, they have the pre-made characters, you know, but then they also have a little booklet that goes over making characters. Game Master Heroes Handbook. This one, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So it's like, yeah. So they have like the basic rules of play, and then they have the races along with the sub. What are called? What are the sub races? Ancestries and
Ancestries and heritages, I think it is. Yes.
Yeah. And because they only have to do like a few levels, because obviously it doesn't go very far, they don't have to like include all the options. So it's like you can just have a bunch of stuff in here. You know, it only goes up to 3rd level for each.
Okay.
So.
But certainly is like an introduction thing, and like, you know, hey, here's the first couple of levels of a bunch of classes you can try out and play. You know.
Yep.
Here's how to build.
I didn't go over to see if they had all the options. It looks a little limited, but it's not like too bad.
It feels very beginnery then, where they give you kind of like a smidgen of things. But I mean, certainly speaking, nowadays you can just go to Archives of Nethys if you want to try out more stuff. But maybe your GM might just say like, "Hey, wait to do that until we've learned."
Yeah, and they give you an adventure, but they also give you a bunch of, you know, like kind of basics, like difficulty classes and stuff. It's kind of got like a little bit of and even hazards. So it's got a little bit of like a mini GM booklet with monsters as well.
Cool.
So, and obviously those are the monsters for the adventure.
Yeah.
And something I really like is the, you know, they have this page, the quick view rules or whatever they're called, cheat sheet.
Okay.
Which I think is nice. So, because I'm gonna be honest, I wish they had this in more places, because the cheat sheet is like, they don't have a good like cheat sheet page on Nethys. They really should. Yeah, and then they have a giant map. Wow. For, I'm guessing, the adventure.
Cool. I like the maps too that they do. Look, I'm not gonna lie. You know, it's Liza's content always feels like it's not the most like fancy or expensive, but it feels just in that kind of sweet spot of it's kind of nice. You know, it's okay enough.
Well, but here's the thing. I think they make up for with that kind of like flair with like quality. You know, like they don't have the flair that some box sets have, but they give you more than other box sets tend to do. Like I find like other quick start stuff like this, other like beginner box sets still tend to be like, no, we don't give you rules for making characters. You have to do pre-gens unless you want to buy the book, you know? They don't give you like the rules basics, or well, they don't give you like much more than, they don't explain the rules, they just tell you how to run them, you know? For this adventure. Oops. Oh, they even have these, which are really cool, which are like little things that show all of the like conditions, like a little cheat sheet of the conditions for players, and they have a bunch of them, so like you can give one each to player.
Yeah. Cool.
It's not all of them. It's just probably the ones that are relevant to the game.
Neat.
Yep.
So,
And then what DCs are and the types of actions. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, and there's like these little checkoffs, so you can like put a token on them for each action type. So it's like you can mark off if you've used it, which I think is cool.
okay, so it does help you to keep track of your stuff, because as much as like, I think that's the one thing I do have to say, like sometimes in your brain keeping track of what you have options of, because like yes, 3 actions isn't too bad, but it's that kind of thing of like, it's a different kind of breakdown than a lot of other RPGs do, because it's that kind of like a somatic kind of numbers based things in your brain a lot of times too. So I understand this in your brain.
Also, ignore the fact that I have the Avatar starter set. I technically backed it way back in the day, and I forgot about it, and only just realized it, and filled out the thing to get it. So, I'm apparently stupid.
It's okay.
I think Momo went over it when he got it, so it's.
So cool. All right. So we have one more piece of RPG related news before we move on, and of course that is we're getting some more World of Darkness books. I have my love-hate relationship with World of Darkness 5e. One of these books.
One nice thing.
Let's see.
I have
here.
hate.
I really like the way they evolved the werewolf enemies.
Okay, you can say bad things now.
Okay. Pentex is really much better of a design than it was. It was very much cartoonishly evil corporation in the old books. Now they made it like an actual evil corporation, and it's terrifying, and I like it better because it makes sense a lot more on paper, you know? They looked at it and be like, we're going to make this less cartoony evil. And I'm like, thank you. That's also kind of terrifying, because it is evil corporation that wants to destroy the world. Anyway, so the 3 books are 1 hunter and 2 werewolf ones. The hunter book is fine. Like, as I said, I don't mind the hunter 5e. It's just not old hunter. It's a new game in a lot of ways. It's not a bad game. It's taking stuff from a bunch of other hunter type stuff that came in a bunch of other adventures and combining together the new one. And I'm curious if this one, because it's a new lineage system, takes some different directions from some of those things. Because it sounds like they want to kind of do some like hunting groups, which I think did exist in certain places. Like if we talk about like from Vampire, all the stuff that's related to the Second Inquisition or something like that, which is a little insane. But this might link back to maybe you're playing someone from one of those in Hunter the Reckoning. I'm curious on that one, you know, so there's some ideas there.
I know Chronicles went whole hog into the groups.
Ooh, so it might be something more Chronicles too. Ooh.
Yeah, because they had, they literally had the Charon Corporation, which was basically a medical corporation who was all like trying to find ways to research like monsters, and then you have like the I'm not remembering all the names, but you had basically one that was like basically the Catholic's church, like, or version that like would use like, you know, prayers to like, you know, fight off demons and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you had like basically just the Men in Black was one. It wasn't the Men in Black, but it was basically the government.
Yeah. It does sound like the Chronicles version of Hunter codified a lot more of the stuff that was in when they evolved post Reckoning into their version, which is it's Hunter the
Hunter. Oh gosh.
I don't remember all the Chronicles names. I'm sorry. Like I'm not as good on Chronicles, so
honestly, Hunter is the one I forget about. I forgot about.
But
Hunter the Vigil. That's
Hunter the Vigil. It sounds like Vigil, at least they evolved things in a more interesting direction too in a lot of ways. Because like, I'm not gonna lie, I thought Hunter the Reckoning was fine. I liked the issues of they made some nice video games based on it, but it wasn't like the one that I like would scream about. It's another reason that I'm not like against Hunter 5e, because it's fine. I did not need weird superpowers. I just thought, like, you know, it made it in a lot of ways the intriguing juxtaposition of you end up with some kind of thing that's almost nigh supernatural or angelic protecting you from these various beasts. Are you being corrupted into something closer to them? And I thought that was a more interesting exploration of your own humanity being threatened by these monsters, but also from within. And they got rid of that, just you're fighting monsters. Which I always thought World of Darkness was about fighting your own internal monsters in a lot of ways, to a degree.
Yeah, and they don't, and for, well, Chronicles is very much about fighting external monsters, but anyway, but yeah, for Chronicles, I know that, like, you didn't have to play as, like, one of these big companies, but it's, like, there's different tiers, for, like, you could either be, like, a local group, or you could be part of, like, a big conglomerate.
I'll be interested, maybe at some point I'll explore a little bit of what they're doing here, just to know what's going on, because it does sound interesting. The other two books are werewolf books. One of them is a semi-reprint. Basically, the Chronicles of the Black Labyrinth was a book kind of like they have the Book of Nod and the Erythian Chronicles for Vampire. There's some other ones that I know. I can't remember the name of for other games. But this is one of the werewolf ones. Originally came out in 97. They also had they're putting apparently parts of the Laws of the Wild from 2001, as well as some new stuff. I'm guessing they're just updating a lot of the things about what's in there. Hopefully, you know, like ironing out any problems without making major cuts. So I have those hope out, you know, figuring out ways to.
I'm looking. Yeah, the groups in Chronicles are the Charon group, the Lucifuge, which are basically humans who have been descended from like a fallen angel of some kind. The Malus Maleficarum, which are the Catholic Church's basically answer to this. Trying to fight the supernatural. Task Force Valkyrie, and that's basically just covert government group. And then there's Sending Ones. I don't remember this one. Yeah. Yeah, and then they're apparently something to do with Islam in Egypt. Ancient.
I'm not gonna lie.
Man, I don't remember these ones.
As you talk about this, it does sound as though what they did for 5e was take like the basic structure of original World of Darkness rather than Chronicles, but take some lessons from Chronicles and certain things. That's an interesting point.
Oh no, Chronicles. I'm gonna be honest. Chronicles did a lot right. The thing is just people were so against changing the story. Yeah. And that's the only reason why people didn't like Chronicles is because they changed the story. But they did so much right as far as like stuff went.
It's one of those things is like I think they could have done it better as a companion piece and stuff like that in a lot of ways and made it a lot better or a different kind of replacement. But it was kind of something with their like because they had already had a few editions by the time we get to Chronicles, it's like people had been used to them, you know, because they had the original and revised and stuff like that at that point in time. People were used to them just having it as this and that they were going to keep the story the same, you know. I think that was the big thing about it. It was like it was too many dramatic shifts at once. I know, but so anyway. Yeah. But I think it does sound like there's some ideas from these coming back into it.
I wouldn't be surprised if there are elements from the others as well, because realistically, people do like. Basically, if you tried Chronicles, you tended to like it. I actually think outside of Vampire, like, I think everything else they did was better outside of Vampire.
Last one is a book called Coming Destruction, which is supposed to be some stuff for help as people running the game, along with some story arcs and suggestions for stories and stuff like that. So it looks like to be a GM book of some kind. Kind of a campaign book, but also, not quite.
Oh wait, I did want to comment on this. I got caught up in talking about this, but why the hell did their the Werewolf Coming Destruction book have to be basically what it looks like a the cover art makes me think of like one of those beast fucker books.
I'm looking at this now and
it's more of a pulp magazine look than anything, but sure.
I see where you're coming from.
I've just seen. Yes. I don't know. I saw something recently that was kind of like that. So that's where my first. Yeah, I see the pulp now that you're talking about it. But man, I've also seen that kind of artwork in
Yes. In-
romance, Beast Romance, I think is or whatever the
in-
werewolf romance
in
books.
trashy
I
romance.
said Beast. Yeah.
Yeah. I see what you're
Anyway.
saying, and I think it's hilarious. I'll just say it that way.
My brain was having trouble finding words.
It happens. So, we got some topics to discuss. And the first one I want to discuss was something interesting that, honestly speaking, they've been expanding into. So, Wizards has been making new games. We've been kind of seeing them working on some new RPGs and stuff. They got another card game. I don't think they've done a new card game in like decades at this point in time.
Have they ever done a new card game?
Yeah, they've done them before.
Yeah, they were the first. Well, they've done new card games. They were technically the first people that worked on the Pokemon TCG. So if you ever talk about the original,
that.
yeah, the original Pokemon couple sets were Wizards based. So this seems to be something that they made 3 articles out of, this kind of game called Mood Swings here, which they put out 2 ways to play, some introductions to cards. So yeah, I'm very curious. Apparently they're going to be selling it originally right now on Secret Lair, I guess, is a way of coming out there, and then they'll be sharing more on MagicCon Vegas. So I don't know, with it being connected to secretlair.com. I guess it's the website, but maybe not a Secret Lair. I don't know, because they have that as their selling stuff website. So there's a lot we don't know about its sale or production or anything like that. But we know this stuff about the games, where they're showing off 133 cards that are designed in total. Yeah, it is using the same colors as Magic, apparently.
Yeah, and you notice I was about to comment. I'm like, why do they have all the like colors? I mean, I don't see green here, but but the other 4 colors I see: black, white, blue, and red.
Yeah, I'm just interested about a lot about it, like what's going on here. You get a box with 45 cards when you buy a game of it. It's...
Oh no, they do mention green, so they don't show any green, but they do mention green.
They say it's a quick TCG, which is always good, but
because Magic takes a while to play.
Magic takes a while to play. They say 5 to 10 minutes for 2-person, which actually is not too bad, because I'm going to say Yu-Gi-Oh! Takes an extreme. I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is way too quick nowadays. My hand was better. I win the game.
Top play, yes. Like, reasonable play can still go for a bit, but
the thing is, every time I watch like top play in Magic, which I don't do very often, the few times I've seen it, it does tend to be pretty fast, but not super fast. People still have like you don't have I draw a card hand, I win the game.
Top play Yu-Gi-Oh! Tends to last on average like 3 turns.
Yeah, that's pretty quick. So it looks like it's trying to be a simple, quick TCG in comparison to this, which is not necessarily bad, and basing it off of some of the card games that they already have, like Magic with same colors and stuff like that, that's not bad either. So, let's see here. So they got a value in dice, which is kind of interesting. So this is the value of the card when you score it. If the die is white, the value can never change. If the die is black, the value can change, and you check it whether it adds up to your score. It's got art, rules, text, reminder, icon, frame, and name. Secondary value, first edition symbol, collector's number, color, artist, rarity. So, unfortunately, just looking at the card doesn't give us a lot of way to how it's played, you know. After playing this mood's a type of card, I'm guessing. You know.
Yeah.
Choose a player.
All the cards are called moods.
Yep.
Oh, I missed that.
Each card is a emotion or mental state.
Oh. Mood swings. That makes sense. Oh my god. But yeah. No, it's interesting, but like...
Yeah. Seems like pretty neat.
Yeah. I'm curious as to... Is this a good change for Wizards? Because they have been exploring more RPGs and products, you know.
I think yes, because Magic is a very hard game to actually get into.
Yeah.
So having an easier game to get into gets you into the ecosystem that will then eventually get you into funneling into Magic.
That's true.
Because it's gonna sound so cynical. Most things exist to get you into an ecosystem, so you spend more money.
True. Not wrong, things put you into directions where you kind of spend more money on it. And, even if you're not spending the most expensive things, a good example, I think of one that has an ecosystem that definitely funnels you in different ways. Let's say, let's use Warhammer, because it has a lot of extended.
Yeah.
You play one of the video games, you at most likely try one of the other video games. Maybe you'll read a book.
Which will
Maybe.
eventually funnel you into a book, and then once they got you in the book, there's a higher chance you will maybe buy a miniature.
Yeah.
But the step from book to miniature is still a very hard step to do because of cost. Warhammer is very expensive.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, I try and create a kind of system for something like that in Magic's not necessarily bad.
No.
I like extended things for like lore and stuff, for books about it, for video games, but we don't really have a lot of that for other things. Like, we have a little bit of that for something like D&D. Certainly you've got things like Baldur's Gate 3. Not a lot of good D&D games outside of that. Some okay ones, but
there haven't been a lot of D&D games recently, but we have Warlock that's maybe coming out. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not full of much faith in that actually coming out, but who knows? But BG3 definitely funneled many people into D&D. Now we're getting more books, which are going to funnel people.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting Baldur's Gate books, which will funnel people into Baldur's Gate 3, which will then funnel them into playing D&D, which has its good and bads because of expectations. But
so this is definitely a better funnel for card games, because again, this will funnel you theoretically to something like, if you're playing it right, standard. And learn the basics of the game there, and then you could try to extend into, if you want to go more professional, deeper into standard or other formats, or if you want to just keep with casual after you've learned the game, funnel yourself into Commander, where you're a little bit more expanded.
It's also broadening your revenue streams is also good, because currently Wizards has 2. And one of them is a hobby where you buy a thing once and then you don't buy it again, whereas Magic is card packs where you are incentivized to keep buying them.
And I'm not gonna lie, the incentivization for Magic's got its own issues. We're putting that over there. And
it's got Magic has its own problems with what is essentially gambling with cardboard, and it's gotcha in nature. So
with some problems, but it's sort of it's definitely interesting to see how a lot of these places are evolving and stuff like this one. And I think I'm fine with this. It's kind of like when we see Paizo was expanding into a lot of other side products that kind of relate back to their world, which is a really interesting world. Yay, and this is kind of more stuff.
I think it's good because it kind of keeps Wizards more in control of games versus Hasbro being like, we're gonna make a thing out of your IP.
True. Making a few more little games and stuff and things.
Yeah. So it also keeps Hasbro slightly afloat.
Yeah.
A little better.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. In my opinion, it kind of shows that they're being given a little bit of freedom again. Because I feel like they were in heavy lockdown, you do what we say or else you don't do anything kind of mentality for a long time with Wizards. As right with Wizards.
I genuinely think that Wizards will undergo a lot of changes for better, because their public perception is pretty much burned to the ground over the OGL stuff. So they have to try and get people back.
Yeah. There's been a lot of things on both the D&D side and honestly on the Magic side that have been bad, and they're trying to stabilize it. And we'll probably see some ups and downs still too,
because they need to staunch the player loss that they're facing to other systems.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, I do feel like it does feel as though they do sense that if the path they are on Magic, they continue too heavily, it might burst the bubble there a little bit too.
They
I
were
don't know if
literally sued by their investors.
Yes, yeah. You know.
Like, it's been a rough 2 to 3 years for Wizards. They need to find ways to get people to like them again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it's the same thing we're seeing with Xbox, right? It's, hey, we're doing cool things. Ignore the bad stuff we did, please.
Yeah, a lot of companies are in the find out stage.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. We'll talk about it a little bit here because there was a few things we learned about, but I will say, like, it does feel as though at very least they are learning to wait on the hype machine till like halfway. If you've got to set for at least Magic side, if you got to set every 2 months, wait a month before you start the hype machine for the next one. You have an entire month to do it, and it feels like they're doing that because they're kind of. It feels like now we're ramping up into Marvel or something a little bit now. After we've been able to sit with Strixhaven for a little bit,
we're getting some Marvel stuff. I mean, it's on the docket for later, but we did just get the Hobbit stuff announcements.
Yeah. Technically, we got a little bit more Marvel and the Hobbit because they had their
they had their first day of Magic on.
Yeah, so we don't have everything for it, but the Hobbit's the one we have the most release on. That's why I put it on the docket. But we can kind of talk about some of the other stuff at MagicCon a little bit with that one. Anyway, the other thing related to, of course, Wizards is, hey, we put the Blue Sky post here, but I bought some article links too. Their team at Arena has unionized. Let's see here. It turns out that Wizard did respond on the 29th. So the response is over here.
I want to talk about the response.
This here. Yeah, so if you want to talk about response, I'll turn it over to you.
So this response, as it reads, we have received the filing and are reviewing it carefully. Our employees are the lifeblood of what makes us great, and we are committed to fostering a workplace where every person feels heard, valued, and supported. We believe we have a strong connection with everyone at Wizards of the Coast, and that direct relationship with our employees is essential to how we work together to capture the imagination of our fans and players, inspiring a lifetime love of our games. We appreciate learning about the needs and interests of our employees through this filing, and we will be responding through the appropriate processes. This reads to me like a lot of people are about to be fired.
Yeah.
Oh no, like, that's the thing. If a company can fire everyone that tries to unionize, they will.
Yep. We see this kind of response in the game industry constantly. It'll be no different with Wizards. Everything Wizards has said here is simply untrue from everything we've heard from people who used to work at WotC. So yeah, I foresee a large amount of layoffs coming soon.
From the Magic Arena Union, from the Magic Arena
Specifically
side
them.
of things.
Yep. They will scale back Arena.
Yeah.
To the point where they can let people go.
Because technically it's illegal to fire people trying to unionize, but enforcement of that has been pretty much non-existent for the past few years.
Yeah.
Yes, and Washington, which is where I believe Wizards is based, is an at-will employment state.
That.
So they have an easier time.
Yeah,
with
it's
union
easier.
busting.
There's still
It's not
rules
like
around
there's
it.
still rules, but it is easier to union bust in an at-will environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sucks, but as someone who comes from the video game side of media, we read about unionized layoffs every fucking week, basically.
It's unfortunately the pure fact of it right now is that it's this and that's the thing that is like I recognize because, like, I'm not gonna say there hasn't been problems with certain unions here and there that have been corruption, but those are the exceptions to the rule a lot of times. hey, we talk about like the Teamsters and mobsters and stuff like that they got along with too,
Mhm.
like, in the New York, New Jersey area. Some of that occurred. Was that all the
Yes.
Teamsters? No,
No.
that was a group of them right there. Unfortunately, they made a bad thing about it and kind of popularized this idea that's very bad there. And there is this kind of thing about like, the more I've like dove into it, I didn't realize, until like hearing about certain things here and there, and then thinking about it later on, like my experience has been definitely like there's so much of an like anti-union thing through corporations that are like
Yes.
in the charge of these entire things. Sorry,
Here's the really
Literally, a CEO was hired at the like new CEO for Starbucks from a year or something ago. There was a whole thing where it's like he was literally hired because Starbucks was threatening to unionize, and he dealt with Chipotle's union real well.
Here's
Attempt to unionize real well.
the really cool thing that I think has been forgotten is unions are the compromise. Before this, you were worked to death and you did not get days off. Unions are the alternative to all of the workers at the factory dragging the owner from the house and beating them to death.
Yes.
What?
Yes. It's the same thing with what's going on with a lot of the top people in corporations now. It's someone's, I think I heard this last week or 2 weeks ago, said it best is it used to be that the rich have always been assholes. Okay, cool, great. But back in the day, let's say 100 years ago, the rich knew they had to do something to prevent the workers from dragging them out to the street and beating them to death. What did they do? They build parks and museums and all these great things. And the workers were like, you know what? Okay, you're spending your money on something that we get to enjoy. We won't rise up against you and get rid of you. They used to do that.
Yes.
That's why we have a lot of great parks and
Very
stuff. That's
much.
things that a lot of very rich assholes in the United States spent their money on. Why? Because they wanted to be like, yeah, I'm a rich asshole, but I get to put my name on that. So you remember it's me, and you get to be like accepting of me.
Also because tax breaks, but
That's also on top of it too. It's a combo thing there. Tax breaks keep the people that might like be really pissed off at me from being too pissed off at me, and name on something. So
wait, so what about someone pulling out someone out of a house and beating them to death?
like
When did this happen?
unions
They're
exist
saying that-
because the alternative to not having
workers
unions
when they rose up
were worker
ended up being
uprisings killing
violent.
the owners.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
those
I see
times
what you
that
mean.
happened, and then like the militia was sent in and shot all the people afterwards. That happened a
Yeah.
bunch
A lot of
more.
Americans are not taught U.S. labor history and thus do not understand why unions are so important.
Yeah.
You need unions because we see it now. A company will work you until you die and then find another person and discard you somewhere else.
Yep.
I
No, that's 100% what happened. Yeah. Like,
I will always
the past.
remember, and this was many years ago. This was around like 2000, as a much younger person, or early 2000s. I worked for like half a year at Walmart. The amount of anti-union words that they talked about in there, it was so staggering. It was noticeable. It wasn't subtle. They weren't subtle about it. It was like right then and there, I'm like, oh, this doesn't prove to me unions are bad with the way you're talking about it. It proves to me you're doing something bad. It's the way that they were so bad against it. This is pre-Super Walmart, so it was like a lot of different time period and stuff like too. And,
I mean, I'll tell you right now, it's worse now.
oh yeah, no, I'm sure it's a lot worse now. But we'll have to see what happens for it. As
okay.
it looks like,
So-
I went to their Blue Sky Warrior, and it looks like the Pleasant Kenobi, which another person I don't talk about, but I know about. And for you, he says it best: if Hasbro Wizards were concerned with addressing the concerns of employees that claim, they would recognize you and volunteer without whether this is the statement there too. It's not a good statement.
I just looked it up. Firing some, so the way at will works is you can fire someone for no reason, but you can't fire. But if you fire someone for a reason, it can't be illegal.
Yeah.
And firing someone for joining a union is illegal. The problem is you can say, oh yeah, their work was bad, and then
Because what
suddenly it's no longer
we
because
saw
they're
with
joining a union. So-
Starbucks was people who were like a minute late, which is perfectly within the allotted time of the typical 5 to 10 minutes, were just getting fired for being late.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like, they find other reasons to fire them for being in a union, and even if it is completely obvious, the regulatory agencies which are supposed to stop this kind of thing have just stopped trying. So
Look,
I forget the name.
depending, we'll see how it goes. The CWA does have some has some network of support. Maybe it will degenerate into some kind of ongoing battle. Who knows? Or maybe Wizards will actually, slash Hasbro will actually say something nice. I don't know, but it's a kind of, we're going to wait and see, because this could go bad. And unfortunately, with what they said, it doesn't sound like it's going to go.
It could go either way, but I've unfortunately read enough corporate statements to look at this and be like, this is a mass layoff in a couple of months statement.
Yeah. U.S. Department of Labor, yeah. So the U.S. Department of Labor is supposed to protect these kind of things, and technically, if enough people join, nowadays it's less bad. In the old days, it was a lot worse. In fact, I was going to say, in the past, it was a lot harder to hire a bunch of people, so it was a lot harder to fire a bunch of people. But nowadays, it is you can tend to hire on people right now really easily, so it's might be easier to do mass layoffs and just be like, okay, new people come in. But if you get enough people, it still can be bad because you can lose a lot of the knowledge that is required. But you can also do it in trickles. So, so there's ways to get around it. But yeah, in theory, if enough people unionize, though, it can be very hard for an employer to say no.
I mean, and we have seen with the CWA, the group they're part of, Paizo voluntary recognized right away, and they did win at TCG Player and managed to organize there, and amongst the fights that they had. So it's not impossible that there could be a fight and they could go to that, and we'll see how they do. I don't know. This is definitely wait and see, and good luck to them, certainly. So, hopefully the best for them. All right. Unless we have anything else on that one, we move on to some TCG related news and some minis and stuff like that. So the big TCG thing to talk about first, of course, is yes, we've heard about some things from MagicCon Las Vegas. They had some panels on some things. I'm going to give the stuff on the basic information about the Hobbit. The other things that we did see were we did get some information on Reality Fracture, and it does look a lot of like what we were suspecting, which is going to be very much the time spiral block, and it's like planar stuff that happened as part of that. We're doing that again, which isn't bad. I liked a lot of stuff from there. It was a very good, interesting experimental time. We'll see how it goes here. Giving things up to that. We haven't seen a lot, but we've seen some of it. The other thing is they did reveal, unfortunately, the next Infinity Stone for the Marvel set and some information about that. I'm not going to lie, at least this one, it's a mana rock that you can spend some things on it, and every turn you blink something. It's Soul Stone. That doesn't seem insane. I mean, like, if you pay 6 mana and then forever, every turn, you get to blink something at the end of the turn.
Yep. I'll also say...
of course, they're reprinting their One Ring.
They are reprinting the One Ring. That's good.
For the Hobbit, I believe... we did learn it's a much smaller set than Spider-Man was. So,
I think that's good too.
I genuinely think if you're going to do this many releases, you should have like the smaller 100-ish card sets.
Yeah.
In between.
Yeah, I think going back to that rather, because again, we used to have it that it was usually 2 big sets, 2 small sets a year, sometimes 3 big sets a year, if it was like story based and stuff like that for the old blocks, like that. But usually most blocks were 1 big, 2 small, which had its bit good and bad parts about it too. I do think if we do have it now that we have a couple of big sets a year and a couple smaller sets, that might be a lot better for having the 6 set release in a year. It actually might stabilize it that we could live with this. Is it going to be perfect? No, it's still a lot of sets in a year.
Yep.
But it might make up
more
for it.
skippable sets.
Yeah.
Because not everyone's into Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. It's a lot of the stuff that was in the old Lord of the Rings stuff. They're showing off that we're getting the One Ring reprinting. Cool. There's some interesting ideas for special card types. I'm never really big on those, but they've like Gleaming Gold Smog, which they're gonna do. That's their limited print one.
Please, his name is Smaug. Show
Smaug,
some
sorry.
respect.
Whatever.
Show some respect for Benjamin Cumberbatch.
They're gonna be doing Smoog, 500 of those, like they did with the Gold Chocobo and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, which sucks, but they love doing that now.
Look,
It's only in collector's stuff, so it's not gonna.
It's
affect me.
fine, and I don't hate it as much when it isn't just the goddamn single one ever, which feels
Yeah.
like such a.
I'd rather
annoying.
this than
Yeah.
one card to ever exist.
500 of them. Cool. There definitely been promo runs they've had in other places that have only been like 500, you know, so that's not too bad. Like certain like promo runs for like judges and stuff like that never made a lot of those, you know. So the limited run promos exist before now. Yes, they were harder to get. Cool, whatever.
Something I want to say, just as a general complaint
Mhm.
about Magic, sometimes is sometimes they do these language cards. Please, for the love of God, stop doing these. They are impossible to read.
Well, literally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless you're a turbo loser who knows Dwarvish from Lord of the Rings, you're gonna have to look up what this card does every time you play it.
You'll have to remember which card it is. You're like, this is like if you know you only have like the arcane
To be
signet,
fair,
at least you
I
know it's the
actually
arcane
think
signet.
that's actually a very good point. They really should leave the title in English.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, I think you.
Or they could have had it like
the very
below there
least.
as a subtitle to like the dwarven version of it.
Yeah.
You know? And then Dragon Horde frames and book cover frames are the other two special frames. They're fine. You know.
They're fun.
Fun.
I like what I see here. Hobbit is my favorite book, so maybe I'll buy some stuff. Maybe not, because I don't really play Magic physically anymore.
Yeah, and as I said,
I mean, every time there's a cool dragon card, I'm tempted to buy something, but then I'm like, no, I don't want to get into this. This is a terrible time.
Will be using Smaug in quite a few of my decks because he once again lets me throw treasure at people.
The power of Smaug.
The power of I'm gonna throw this big gem at your face.
Yeah, whenever he attacks, he deals damage equal to the number of treasures you control to any opponent at the beginning of your upkeep. Create a treasure token. That's Smog. I think there's a couple Smogs. That's Smog the Magnificent, stuff like that. Yeah, so they probably think more. But yeah, throw treasure at opponent. I love it. Yeah, no, there's
The lands look nice.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie. Here's some good things that they do have. Hey, a box topper. We kind of got rid of them.
Yeah.
They're back. Thumbs up. You know, that was something good that we used to have. Cool. Whenever they decide, hey, this thing we removed, it was a terrible idea, and they bring it back, that's good. And I think,
still wish the bundles were like as good as they once were.
yeah, they're not really. Unfortunately.
What's a box topper?
It used to be when you bought a full booster box, you would get a box topper, which would be a bonus promo card.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
In this one, it does seem to be a selection of ones that they have for the Hobbit. It looked like they did when they talked about it. And it'll be a foil Middle Earth classic art card from a selection or something like that too. So it isn't just one card, but it used to be that, you know, you get a promo of a certain card when it. So yeah. I mean,
Got it.
the excuse of we're just going to use the types of special cards that we have, and one of the types of cards we have in collector's boosters, and just you get one of those. I don't think that's terrible. You know, that you can also get it as a box topper. It does make it easier. You know, you don't have to do an extra promo. I think that's fine. The promo would be cool, but, you know, you know, if I just want to buy a play booster, I get the box topper, and I don't have to worry about buying a collector booster to get that type of one of those type of things. Cool. You know.
Why do these have to be so expensive?
Because greed. Also, Universes Beyond are more expensive.
Yeah,
sucks.
because they have to for the licensing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guarantee you their margins are still insane.
Yes.
It's also harder to. It's more expensive to print things now as well.
It is.
It's another issue.
It's the unfortunate thing is there is a juxtaposition that things have gotten more expensive and there's a lot more problems with kind of things, and they have the license, so it is more expensive. But yes, they've always had a kind of high, probably high margin anyway on top of things. It's just like, you know, the increase in price from what it used to be isn't unheard of. I do feel like it was a little too much of an increase. Just, a couple bucks less, and you still make a lot of money. I'm just saying. And,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. I just looked it up. It costs them around 30 to 50 cents per card.
Okay.
To print.
Okay.
So I'm just.
I
this is
maybe
my-
like to see more price fluctuation between set sizes, but that's not going to happen.
True.
Yeah.
We see that with boosters sometimes, but not really bundles.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like,
So I think the Final Fantasy boosters were like $8.
how many cards are in a set?
Traditionally, depending on the type of card, it's usually 16 cards. Usually the back one's like a token or a special type of card, but it'd be 16
You usually
cards.
get an art card. Sometimes you get an art card, which
Yeah.
are always pretty.
Yeah. So I'm assuming the 50 cents cards would be like the foils and special like that. Usually they have one foil. So assume on the basic cards, which would be 15 of them, they'd be 30 cents a piece. So that would be $4.50 plus a 50 cents card. So traditionally, right now, it might be including all the normal basic prices and stuff of printing the card and like all the licensing, like maybe about $5. But the thing is, usually they do that in bulk and stuff too, because I think the normal boosters outside of user ROM would be below $5. So that would be kind of like, it's got to be factors in there.
How many cards are in one play booster?
I think it's still the 16
I
for the play boost. Oh no, it's more
Let me
now.
look
It's
that up.
oh, God,
Yeah,
play
because
boosters
they
are
have
different.
more. Let me just go look that up before you real fast. Okay, so let me go to the specific play booster page. Play boosters are 14 card booster packs that
14.
contain slots, and the slots have rarity chances, and then you usually get, I think, an art card, some bonus stuff.
Okay, so they have a lot less commons than they
Okay.
used to now. Because it used to be 3 uncommons, 1 foil.
They break it.
then
They
one
break it down
rare
here. You get 7 commons, 3 uncommons, 1 wild card, 1 rare or mythic rare, one foil of any rarity, and then 1 land, and then 1
Okay, so-
foil, 1 non-foil double-sided token.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe this isn't. Maybe their margins aren't as ridiculous as I originally thought, because that
And then
it
the
basically puts
collector
a price.
boosters are where it gets kind of nuts with price.
Yeah, well, for play boosters, 14 cards, that basically works out to, and
Well, I think the
Uh,
question is, because they don't, they print them in
$2.
sheets,
Yeah, they
is how much it is to print one
Yeah,
of the
well-
sheets and stuff like that. I don't know.
well, no, but that's the thing. That takes it down to. So the whole idea is that what I looked up is basically how much one card costs when being printed in bulk. So it's like it cuts it down. So it's about
Remember- remember when they did like 6 fucking different types of booster packs per set? Like the fucking theme boosters.
They had theme boosters. There was
They kind of brought draft boosters back, kind of.
like the amount of
Yeah.
weird booster packs they have had over the years has been staggering. Like me exploring Magic history, there's been some. Like the thing is, there was this time they had a lot prepped up. They simplified things, and it was better for them for a while.
Remember the 6 card boosters?
They had those, the 6 card boosters. There were like double sized boosters for some of the
Yeah.
products. Like there was like 2-player boosters, which were weird.
They've experimented a lot with boosters, and I think where they've landed is good enough.
The play boosters aren't great, but they're,
They're
They
better
are-
than having like 4 different types of booster packs per set.
well, it used to be just draft boosters and set boosters, which I always said it should have just been still draft boosters, and they should have turned the set boosters into the collector boosters and called it a day.
Yeah,
And that should have been what it was, and they didn't. And they just made play boosters and still made a collector's boosters, which is effectively a set booster and something different from before. But now they just messed up draft
Yeah.
boosters.
Because
Okay.
I don't think they do set boosters anymore, right? The last one was the Clue sets, whatever it was called.
Yeah.
And then they moved to play boosters. But I think you get roughly the same amount of cards. It's just in a different, like, tiered format now.
Yeah, and the set boosters were just as confusing as they are with the play boosters with their slots and percentages and stuff
because
too.
looking it up, it used to be the welcome cards and the fireworks and the big finish and then the epilogue. They've simplified it a lot more.
I'm still looking at like the structure of a play booster where I see like 6 common, 1 a common or the list card with a 1.5% chance of a special guest card, 3 uncommons, non-foil wild card. It can be any rarity. Like
yeah, but effectively it's 50 cents per card. Effectively is what you're paying for. I mean, obviously it's also a gamble, but that's not as terrible as I thought. I mean, for the volume at which Magic prints, that probably costs them like 10 cents at most to print a single card.
Yeah.
But I still don't think 50 cents is that unreasonable per card. I was just kind of wondering, like, what is the actual like cost of these? So
what it was like. I don't remember the exact price, but for a couple decades, it was like $4 a pack. I think.
Yeah. They haven't gotten that much more expensive.
No, they haven't gotten that much more expensive. The general play boosters outside of Universes Beyond aren't that much more expensive.
It always depends on the set as well, because they price them differently.
The unfortunate thing is, play boosters, it's less packs per box. It used to be 36, now it's 30. So you have to think about that. And so there's that increase there. And now, rather than about $100 per box, it's about $120. So it has been an increase in price and a drop in the amount of cards you get too. Granted, you do get, technically speaking, you theoretically get more rares and stuff too, kind of.
The other problem with pricing is beyond MSRP, stores can set their own prices for the most part. Most stick with MSRP, but some will like upcharge, which is what we saw with the Final Fantasy cards because they got so like grossly popular for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. So based on what I'm looking at, it costs them about 5 cents to print, but if you include overhead of like art, design, and all that extra stuff they're doing, it adds up to about 10 cents. So they're still doing and I assume that's just for the base cost. I don't think that includes shipping. So I feel like, yeah, probably 50 cents. They're probably still making. I would argue they're probably still doubling their cost, which is pretty damn good.
576. Wow.
I don't know if they've ever done like a revenue breakdown. I don't think they've done one in a while.
No, this is all based off like guesses and stuff. So,
but I think it used to be when they were doing it. I think it used to be they would make like $2 off of every pack.
Mm-hmm.
That was back when packs were a little cheaper.
So I'm gonna say I did some quick math just because I wanted to see. We have the sets are 20% more. The products 20% more expensive, and we're getting 78% of the product now. Unfortunately, so it has been a
major
major
to get
change.
more cards.
Yes, because it used to be 16 cards a pack, 36 packs per box. Now it's 30 packs per box, 15 cards per pack.
Gotta love shrinkflation.
But they also cut out some. But they also cut out some of the chuff as well.
Yes. Now there is technically a better chance of having more rares because it used to be you get a foil and one rare slot, a foil slot.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of math that unfortunately goes into it.
Yeah. So now there's like a wild card slot too and stuff like that.
My whole thing is just they're pieces of cardboard.
I mean, yes, they are cardboard. It's gambling.
Yes. It's gambling, and they switch the odds.
Stakes gambling.
Yeah, it's
like playing a gotcha game.
Trying to look into this, I kept running into things about proxy cards, and I'm like, that actually sounds like a cool way to get Magic cards.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes proxying is very expensive.
Hey, yes.
No, it's not. It's generally more. That's where that 50-cent number I first ran into came from. That's like bulk.
That's why I like building a deck on Moxfield because I can build myself a $3,000 deck because it's a tri-colored deck from the revised era, and I'm using goddamn bunch of dual lands. I can't do that in normal life. I can do that there, and then I can go over into a tabletop simulator and play it over there and try it out. It's fun to do there. I would love to have a deck in real life like that. It's not happening because they're never reprinting anything close to that ever again, letting the prices go into exorbitant levels. Anyway,
It is what it is.
Okay, we should move on then.
yeah, we should move on. We got stuck in the weeds there for a minute. XCOM, the miniatures game.
Yay.
Now here's a question, because I didn't look deeply into it, and
Sure.
it's just the basic page of it. Is this
Yeah.
going to be more focused on what era of XCOM? Because there was the original
So-
XCOM, the kind of
So
remake
my
of
guess
XCOM,
is
which
this
also
is
then
going
had
to,
XCOM 2 as a sequel.
judging by the logo, it's
Mhm.
probably going to be based on the 2012 reboot.
Enemy Unknown.
Because this is the 2012 logo.
That's XCOM Enemy Unknown.
Okay.
Enemy Unknown, and then the enemy within the expansion, which everyone should play because, in my opinion, those two are better than XCOM 2.
Okay.
Yeah. I've also I watched a guy on YouTube do like specific. It was like a specific type of there was a lot of modding community in XCOM that made it even better.
Yeah, XCOM 2 I don't like because it's a. I'm gonna go on my mini rant. XCOM is a game about being patient, and XCOM 2 is a game where everything you do is timed.
Yeah, you know what? I will agree on that end. I really hate
Most
the
missions
clock.
in XCOM 2 have a 12-turn timer.
They do kind of suck when they have those timers. That's you're not wrong. You know,
It's so bad to the point where they added a difficulty option to double timer length.
I didn't even think about it because it's like definitely one of those ones that like, you know, I only played XCOM 2 and like the stuff for that. But like yeah, the timers were just they suck.
I'm glad this exists because I made the slight joke. This is the closest we're ever going to get to XCOM 3 because they're not going to make that.
I guess things just ended up in a way so they're not going to make
No,
it.
they made Midnight Suns, and Midnight Suns like bombed really hard.
Oh,
So yeah, they're probably not going to do another tactical game for a while.
gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of hate the corporate mentality of, oh, we're gonna do this new thing out because it's popular. We do it terribly. It sucks.
Was the
oh, man,
it was the
we can never do this
unfortunate
again.
it was the unfortunate 1-2 punch of Chimera Squad, which was the spin-off of XCOM 2, not like selling well but being decently received, and the Midnight Suns having very middling reception.
Yeah, it's sort of like I didn't hear anything terrible about Midnight Suns, but I did hear it was like an okay game in a lot of ways.
People including Corpse are like, you can't have an okay game anymore. You have to have a 10 out of 10 game of the year contender.
Because that was the thing, is like, you know, I heard some people talking about it back in the day that it was like, you know, because honestly speaking, we rarely got a good superhero / Marvel game ever. You know, it was like, it's not super great, but it's okay enough. And if you want an okay Marvel experience, here you go. And I think also like from what I've heard, like the gameplay was kind of middling. The story was pretty decent.
My problem with Midnight Suns is the same problem I have with all Marvel games, is that they never get permission to really base the characters on their actual looks, so you get this like Temu Marvel character look for a lot of them.
Yeah, it's that thing of like, I always wonder about this. Can't they just go by comic look? Like actually,
sometimes they can. It depends on the licensing deal. I know
So
for the Avengers video game, they could not. They had to make their own designs, and it did not look good.
Yeah, I think that's why like maybe that
because I can understand. I understand why you can't do, you know, like
MCU, because those are people's faces.
Yeah.
It does make me think, you know, because Marvel Rivals looks very much like the actual characters. They do look different, like they're like an alternate version of them, but at very least they feel like they're the characters. Again, it's a game that like
a lot of it's also art style. Rivals is a more stylized game than Midnight Suns was.
Like it's one of those things, is like it's enough that like you know, I'm not for playing that, but definitely it's like it's of those type of games, like it's probably the only one that I like to like, you know, halfway, you know, put in the background when someone's playing it. But again, that's usually for like people playing together with people and chatting, you know, rather than actually watching that. So, you know, there's a lot of games like that I'm like I half enjoy, but it's more like I can tolerate the game and then I enjoy the people and they're like playing with people and doing stuff with them and chatting. You know?
The best case scenario for this miniatures game is a complete replication of XCOM Enemy Unknown's multiplayer mode, where one side played a squad of aliens and the other played XCOM. You just had to find each other.
Interesting. So to be seen on that one. So
Hopefully it's good.
yeah, hopefully. Okay, we have one final topic when it comes to our kind of TCG miniatures thing, and that's because hey, I did not know they had these many booster sets. I really didn't. This is the 30th set of the Final Fantasy TCG.
Yep. People forget this one exists.
Like, I remember it exists. I didn't know it had 30 goddamn boosters.
This is actually like why I was like very confused when they did the Magic set, because I'm like, don't you have your own TCG?
Yeah,
I think they have multiple actually, because they have a triple triad one as well.
it was one of those things that, like, when I heard 30, I was like, really 30? Because like my brain.
From what I know, this is like super popular in Japan.
Yeah, my brain had always put it more akin to like maybe like, honestly, which I mean the numbers sound different. Like I was thinking 15 to 20 because it's been out for a while. You know, it's been out for a good number of years. I knew that at this point in time. It's been out for like a decade, maybe or more.
So it came out in 2011, but it only came out worldwide since 2016.
Okay, that's where I'm more thinking of it from. But that makes sense then too. But that's why I'm like, you know, if you're coming out from then and you're more Japan focused, I could have seen like, again, 15, 20 sets. 30 is a lot. But again, like also, again, Magic, thinking about that one, you come out with a couple sets a year, the more I can see it now, like, you know, and think about it like that. If they're getting that good of a support, you know, which I didn't think about that they would actually have that. Again, it's that
they have a Final Fantasy 14 set as well. Like they just do, each set is a different game in the series, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. So they're introducing the first I don't know what LB stands for here.
Limit Break.
Oh, Limit Break multi-element cards to the game and offer new depot strategies. Cool. So it's getting a lot of things there too. So cool. 118 cards and a bunch of premium cards, because there's always premium cards because hey, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
the
money. Gambly money side of things. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm just never interested in the premium cards. Like cool.
If you're interested in how it plays very similarly to Magic the Gathering.
Oh, okay, cool. So hey, you know, check it out. All right, so we got a little bit of board game plus non-board game news, but related to the tabletop industry. We'll start with the board game one, and this is one that I think is kind of funny, and I like Fluxx a lot. And Fluxx is going to be reprinting all their Star Trek games. So I'm guessing because of various deals, they were able to do it. And for the 60th anniversary, they're reprinting their 4 different versions of Star Trek Fluxx. It's pretty much the same game with like slight different, you know, like nods. Fluxx, when you see one of these games that's not like their core, it tends to be like in jokes for the various franchises. So I'm assuming like, I think the only one I've tried of these is the next gen one. And it's basically like, if you watched one of these series, you want a bunch of in jokes of that series, that's what these are, you know. But other than that, they're probably very similarly played. It's a Fluxx game. They're always similarly played. But I like Fluxx enough, you know. I can give a thumbs up to it. And the different versions are usually fun enough. So it's cool to have these kind of back in the things. You know, so a little bit reprint. Thumbs up to that. Cool. Yeah. So, and then finally, hey, guess who's back in the news again? And we know more stuff about. It's everybody's favorite horrific situation, Diamond. Yay. So first off, the court approves them getting a lawyer for the litigation we talked about. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
There's also the consigners are pushing back against Sparkle Pop. We'll put that one there too. We'll kind of break these down because of course they are. And then and of course the consigners and Alliance Entertainment are also pissed off about the borrowing for things like lawyers and stuff for the trustees, because yes, it's this Ouroboros of shittiness. So I guess we'll start with the litigation lawyer thing and then go into the last one, the middle one, maybe that's the direction to go in these things here too. Even though I put them out as when the articles came out there. So yeah, they're going to get lawyers for the various problems that they're having, for the objections to the alliance, the ad hoc committee kind of going against them for this entire thing there too. Basically, they want an additional, like, a little bit more than half, like, $766,000 to set up to help bring up litigation stuff that are going on there too. Yeah. And this is against the ad hoc alliance that want to basically, you know, they don't want these borrowing for lawyers and fees and stuff like that because they already have a lot of debt. It's just more debt that the entire thing is going to have to settle with all these problems that they're having with litigation and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, the consigners are basically pulling up some of the mantle of some of the things that, you know, Diamond was doing. And that's the problem, is the people that are, like, wanting the money don't like the way they do things, you know, and just want their stuff back. And then, of course, Sparkle Pop, I think, wants to sell off all that inventory, and that's the entire problem there. And, you know...
Look, my opinion on all of this is die.
Really. It continues to be an incredible mess. It just continues to be an incredible mess. It isn't getting better. It's just continuing. We can say that much. So, yep. One day, the aforementioned, you know, big breakdown of everything terrible that's happening here. We'll hear about it. We'll learn about it. And someone will do it, but it's not today. And they continue.
I had to look up on YouTube if someone's made a whole thing about it.
I would be curious if we've gotten at least a generalized initial thing, because sometimes when people have a breakdown, they have an earlier one and then do more of them afterwards. So, yeah. So, I got a topic to talk about. Let's talk about that. This was an interesting one. We talked about this before a little bit, and I put this in here for a deeper dive. And I think what my idea when I put this in here a while ago, because we talked about the various things of maps for Steer to Mine back in the day, and I wanted to do more in-depth kind of dive into it. And I think the idea would be, rather than talk about, you know, the general thing of certain games, it's better for one or the other, depending on the game there too. You know, some of them are built more for that. I think the idea of here is, you know, if you're in a game where, let's say, like with Shadowrun, which I've been running, there's certainly points of times where using a map might be helpful. There's certain points of time where using a gridded map might be helpful. There's certainly points of time where we can just goddamn talk about everything. And I think what I want to talk about today for more in depth is when we can tell what's better to use these entire things. And there are some very obvious points in time. If I am having a very large, complex kind of battle or scene, a nice gridded map where I can kind of tell where my players are is probably a good thing. If I am doing a complex mapped dungeon crawl, certainly speaking, using some kind of map is a lot better than talking to it. Not that you couldn't talk about it with people, and then they may have them write their own maps, but that would be an entirely different kind of thing there too. That's, you know, it's, you know, that's still going to have a map. They're going to be writing their own, and maybe that's part of the entire story there too, you know, that one there. But, you know, there's combat in like a, you know, one-off combat here in this, like, you know, this place, or, you know, as you've been seeing with the Shadowrun game, I've just been kind of using like they had some maps and I used them for, like, you know, a basic setup for the area you're in or for the city. You know, I'm using certain maps for a basic thing, but it's not like it necessarily hasn't been always critical to have them in a lot of ways. It's helped it a little bit here. Having that map around the dancing orc is kind of a neat one to have because they provide it in one of the books there, you know, so I just used that one.
I mean, okay, this is actually something I'm curious about with that map. Was there any reason to have any of the other areas? Like, was there stuff you could go and do in those other areas?
Here's the thing, yes and no. No, the book didn't define anything, but the basic information they gave me in that area means if players wanted to, it's here's some basic information. If you want to run with that, knock yourself out. The Shadowrun
like
book, how they're
labeled
written, they're giving you like a basic outline of some stuff, and they're like, here's some suggestions for other things that could you do. Here's some suggestions on the area. Good luck. Figure it out yourself to a good degree.
Yeah, Shadowrun is a very vibes-based rule book.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that, but I feel like you can give, if you're gonna say open market and bar, you could give like 2 sentences for each.
I mean, this happens like all the time. Cough, look at the Shackles map that's really detailed, and then none, like 90% of the locations have nothing written for them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of islands, and like they give you like a sentence about them at most,
If
anything.
even that.
Yeah.
So my whole thought about maps. First, always use maps every time, all the time. No, I just really like maps, so I tend to overuse them. But if I'm going to be realistic, when players see a map, they tend to want to explore it. For example, I was considering being like, well, when I saw the map, I'm like, well, there's this open market. Perhaps we should visit it first. But then I'm like, we're probably fine. But like, there's kind of this instinct to try and like go around it, go around and like look at things.
Sorry, we had to enact a weird plan first.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. If you guys want to go the route of going to the open market, maybe you could have found out some information about there. You could have found out some like contacts about some of the things, what's going on to that degree. Same with the bar, you could have contacted with them. You have some connections with the area boys. If you wanted to go to like their compound and be like, hey, we know this guy in charge of your groups of things, and try to like make some friends with those guys there. Again, for whatever reason, you made friends with some of the worst people in town, but
you say, hey, it was 2 people.
2 of you have.
And even then, only one of them did it unironically.
Yes. Look, one of you doesn't know better, I feel like, and has just made friends with them,
You say we.
Yeah. Okay, look. Overall,
they refuse to speak to my character.
They really are the worst. They really are the worst people. There's a reason why they're kind of the antagonists for part of this adventure, and you've kind of like, it's weird. Some of you are pissed parts of them off, kind of, even though you're not really known about very well. And I'm not gonna lie, this is probably gonna really piss them off even more.
I'm gonna be
this is definitely where
I'm gonna be 100% with you. Every time you have one of these people talk with my character in proximity, it is a fight for me not to shoot them.
You should do that one of these days.
They are made to be some of the more awful people. They are the prime example of like, because again, Shadowrun, as much as we like to talk, it's dystopian. There's a lot of really bad people around. Yeah. This is meant to show off the like low end of this is the dirty part of the city. You encounter these people, you have to navigate them without creating too much of a problem and without getting on their bad side. That's the point about it, is sometimes you have to go to these dark areas, and they do it very well here in many ways, that you're kind of dealing with the underbelly of it. I think they do a very good job of that here in the adventure. And like, we can talk about that a little bit more later, but I think the map is a very interesting one. And yes, they don't really talk a lot about what's there in general. They talk about some general areas of what kind of things are in that area, so I know about it to a degree. But then building off of that and kind of figuring out like what's actually happening is to be determined by me, I guess, is in many ways to say.
Yeah. So, but basically my point is that if you're going to put a map in from someone, be prepared for them to go, ooh, that's interesting, let's go there.
Yep.
Because players often do that.
Yeah.
If you don't, I like maps because I tend to like to over prepare and have these kinds of things. I also know how to, save preparation so that way if they don't go to one place, they can be replaced in another, and etc. But anyway, my point is though that some players don't explore though. Like I made a whole game and made a whole map with a bunch of secret locations and stuff that nobody went to, even though they were on the map, and it's just like, I don't know. But it depends on who you got.
Again, and I feel like it's when we usually when we talk about the Theater of the Mindverse map, we're not talking about like a city map or a area map or something like that. We're talking about like, maps that you'd use for exploring a place or combat.
What I will say about maps, I have 2 players who have aphantasia. They cannot visualize things in their mind. Maps help them enjoy D&D a lot. So that's why I'm very pro map. The other thing, if you have a lot of details that you need to get across to your players, you should use a map, because sometimes you will forget to describe things, or you will describe things wrong.
Yes. I really do think maps are generally better used than not used. Like I don't. The only reason not to use a map is time.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But like I do think that if you aren't used to using maps, they can kind of be hard to use, because if you don't, if like you put something on the map that you didn't really expect them to go to, but then they see it and they're like, oh, we should go to that thing, and it's like, so there are wrong ways to use it, but
Also, it's like the thing of, I'm not gonna lie about this. Either you're using a map you got from some like Chepeku, or maybe you're using a map from Pathfinder that's got a pre-made one. A lot of times those maps have extra details that just aren't defined on them. I'm gonna pick up. Scar Wall. The Scar Wall had like so many rooms that they're like, it's just there. You know, I'm like, what is this room for? I don't know. It doesn't tell me. It's just there on the map. It doesn't really add anything. They don't show anything on the map either. They're just like nondescript rooms, and I'm like,
my favorite thing about Pathfinder maps is when they do like a town, they will always grid a town out when you don't ever need it to be.
yeah, like it's that mixture of like.
Thanks for telling me that a grid in this town is 50 feet. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But I really do think that, like, if you are going to have a dungeon, you need a map. Even if it's just like a donjon, RPG tools generated map.
Yeah.
You know, because there are so many easy tools. Like, this is actually something more of I have a problem with Joe's game, where he finds maps that are just so distorted, don't line up. I'm like, you could have had something so much better with just a donjon map.
I think that people forget is if you use Roll20, you can actually open up a dungeon scroll tab, draw a map, and import it into your game.
Yeah.
Yes.
The functionality for that exists, and it's a very easy way to be like, here's walls.
Yep.
And I think it'll even import things like walls for you, so you can do lighting. So it's like
it will set up the lighting and everything.
And I'm going to say about it this way, like, if we're going to take the dungeon side of things, like, even if it's a dungeon that's so simple, because dungeon usually refers to an area people to explore and stuff like that. Let's say it's one that's just a couple of rooms and stuff like that. It's not a major one. You might not need to put a map for your players, but you should at very least have a map. You know, you need something where it gives you that visual, because again, like, you're sorting through all your information, all your knowledge, you know, all your notes and stuff like that. Having a little picture there in front of you, at least for you, to helps out. And yes, it does help for players too, you know, for exploring especially a lot of places. Sometimes it doesn't need it. Like, if it's just a general building and stuff like that, you should at least have like a little scribble of a layout or something that you know where everything is and stuff like that. So like when you're describing it, you got that there. So it's like, oh, on the first floor, there's like a hallway and 2 doors to the side, you know, and those are those things there. You know, it doesn't have to be detailed for your little thing there. You at least have that scribble down there too. That's the important of that part about that. It's visualization that can kind of help in a lot of those things. But again, like, it doesn't harm sometimes to have those maps for people to explore them. It's when you get into that, and yeah, certainly speaking online, it's a lot easier to do that than in real life. But again, that's what kind of whiteboards are for, or printed out maps that you might get from like
grid paper.
There's definitely plenty of things like third edition had little like third edition D&D had little cardboard pieces that you could assemble into maps and stuff like that, or you know, there's a lot of ways you could do to build maps. We've talked about that before, but again, like,
something we used to do a lot for our in-person games is we would use the trail at House on the Hill tiles to build our dungeons.
Yeah.
So if you have like a tile-based board game, that's a great way to do it in person.
I think the other thing I could say about this is when you are doing something, at least area to explore based, the question will be, how much are your players exploring it? I think that's where you come down to a dungeon, you know, and if you're going to need that or use that map for that player. If it's like an abandoned inn, you probably don't need a map for that. You could be like,
probably not.
You could be like, there's the front area, the back area, and the rooms. And you can just basically give a general description. Or you could be like, this one room has this thing here on the second floor. They don't necessarily, especially if they're not going to get into combat there, too.
You've been in plenty of my games, Tantish. You know very well when I do a single one-off fight, I have a particular forest map I just place and make people fight on.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. I just, especially for games like 5e and Pathfinder, you need maps. Well, not necessarily 5e. Although if you do 5e, please use the rules for like how many creatures are encompassed in an area.
Yep.
Because like I feel like those are just like, there's rules for like, oh, if it's a 30-foot cone, it will hit about this many creatures. But I feel like so many GMs are just like, there's only one in there that you can hit. You know?
Yeah.
So like, I think a good example of when not to use maps or use maps. I'm gonna take Shadowrun. Okay. In a traditional Shadowrun game, depending on the situation, there are plenty of times where you could use a map or not use a map. If you are going against like a couple of guys, you probably don't need to use a map. Like, oh, security, they kind of alerted them. We might get to a firefight. Probably don't need a map. You know, we generally have an idea of how distances are and stuff kind of like that or two. Anytime I'm going to do something and Joe has an excuse to use his goddamn drones, I'm going to have a map. He's got a billion of them. I need to know where they are.
Yeah, you're probably going to want to get a map for the brothel. I feel like
I really hope he's not going to shoot drones.
I feel like he's going to want to use drones.
He's going to shoot stuff up. He might. Because that's the thing is, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what your plan is for that.
I don't think we have a plan yet.
Look, you know, you guys have gone so like sideways for the content at this point in time. I'm just working half on the seat of my pants, you know.
I tell you what my plan is, and my plan is going to be to try and pick the lock on that back door.
Yeah, and Joe said disable the security on there. If you figure out how to do that, you can do that and get everybody out pretty easily. Then it's just capturing that guy, you know.
I'm going to suggest this. There's a silly reason I do suggest if you are specifically running Pathfinder First Edition, for why you should use a gridded map, because of how cones and lines work in Pathfinder.
Yes.
They do not work like you would think they do. Because it's always corner to corner, no matter what it is. And a line always starts in front of your character.
Yep. It's in a system where numbers and distance matter more, you're going to have to use that more. Again, it's not impossible to use it without a map. And again, I think it is like judging when you want to use a map or not is a hard thing. Like, certainly speaking, nowadays, when we have things like Roll20 or Foundry or any of the BTTs, it is a lot easier to have some default maps. Like, and I think that's a good thing too. I got like already set up in the Shadowrun thing a street map. So if you guys get to fight in a street, I can just throw you on the street map. Is it going to be accurate to the thing? It's going to be like the street version of the Forest Clearing. It's just going to be like, hey, you're over here some people.
It's always nice to have those generic maps.
Yeah. And like I've been thinking about setting up a few more of those just in case. And that's a thing. They're just generic things just in case.
Since we're talking a lot about games that have very defined measurements, I'm going to pivot to games that use range bands. You really do not need combat maps for those.
Yeah.
Because a range band is very hard to define with a ruler.
Yeah. I think Star Trek does that. They just have a distance.
Most of Modiphius's games are band based.
Yeah.
Like Fallout has close, near, medium, long. All of that pertains to specifically from your character. There's not a defined measurement of how far those are.
Yeah. I think for those, I probably wouldn't use a map unless it was a very complex battle where I can kind of generally mark directions and kind of things where things are. They won't be perfect and we'll still be using like kind of rules, but it's kind of like a a little bit of a half visualization on that end to help with that things too. Because it's sort of like if I'm doing a Star Trek game and somehow we get into like a big firefight with let's say a group of Romulans get a firefight with them, and it's like your group of 4 characters versus like a half dozen Romulans that are kind of spread out. You got cover and they got cover for like a phaser firefight or something like that. There, I might generally come up with a map to kind of mark where everything is, generally speaking, But again, like it's that's situational, that's not going to be a normal in that kind of case. We're there too. And I think that's a thing too, is like you do have to recognize, I think this is when we first talk about it, we have to recognize the games that use these things better or not. And as we said, I'm not going to lie, most D20 systems really help for maps. It's not that you don't need them for certain circumstances, but it's kind of like that one that's, I think the question for games like D&D and Pathfinder, all their editions, you have to kind of ask the question. Well, not 4th edition. 4th edition, you just need maps. I'm sorry, you need maps on that one.
4th edition's a tactical game. Yeah. No one wants to call it that.
Yeah, it's a tactical game. But for the ones that are a little less tactical games, and there too, you kind of have to ask your question is, what will it harm to have a map? And there are probably times where it's like unnecessary, but the times are probably much more minimum, and that's the exception rather than the rule. So it's always good to have that backup. It's like, also like how quick is this going to be and stuff like that too. There's questions you kind of have to ask. Is this something that your players are going to be interacting with for a long period of time? Is it something that is going to be very complex? Is it something that will, harm to have that map? Again, it's that extra detail and kind of stuff there too, that when players have those options, sometimes they think about it there too. And, we can't always get the perfect map. Even when you make your own, you don't make a perfect map, it's a tough thing,
Yep.
These are things you have
I'm
to
just
think
always of the opinion that if you can, you should. If you can't, that's usually fine.
I'm of the same opinion most of the time.
Yeah. I do feel like it's good to have it as that backup.
If you have a player with aphasia,
aphantasia.
Aphantasia. If you have aphantasia, if you have someone with aphantasia, you definitely need to use them, though.
Yeah, I agree on that one.
It helps a lot with their ability to play.
Yeah. Generally speaking, like even if you're not using the map directly, having an image there or something of the area could help too. It's sort of like, I'm not going to lie, if you guys got in a firefight with the 2 guys in the front, I might not have used like an in-game map, but like having that picture there of the area so you can kind of tell where everything is, and we kind of could mark where the van is, that probably helps on that end there too.
And that's kind of where I'm of the opinion that even if you're not going to do battle maps, like I agree that Shadowrun probably doesn't really require battle maps because it doesn't got strict distances. It kind of does, but it doesn't. But like even like something like Star Trek, which is very like the Star Trek game, it's got the close, medium, long, extreme. You could still do like a big overview map, but just kind of do in the moment judges to determine what's what. That's why I think area maps are still very good. They're the hardest to make though. As someone who likes to make maps, battle maps can be time consuming if you want to go detailed, but they also tend to be pretty easy to make. And then large area maps tend to also be pretty easy. Those like whole regions, but then town maps and city maps, those tend to be so time consuming.
Yeah, if I'm doing a town map, I will usually just base a town off of a town map I find on Google. Because I'm like, I do not have the time to make a city.
It's just you have to put in so many like little houses, that's always the time consuming part for this.
Yeah. Look, I'm not gonna lie, because I've got the map pack that came with the adventure I'm running. The maps that are in there, they're interesting selection, but they're definitely not all the places you can get into trouble. That's the other thing too.
Yep.
So it's
by like, having just a generic map you can slap down is really nice.
Again, it's you do have to recognize like kind of where your players are going, what kind of trouble they're getting in. So if you need to get a new map, you have some time in between sessions there too and stuff like that too. So you can kind of like figure out where and when you need a lot of these things. It's Yeah, and there's a good source again, as I said, there's good sources online and stuff like that. You know, with like Worm did, you know, sometimes you can like get a subscription, something like Chapeku or other mapping people, get a bunch of maps, download a bunch of different things that you feel like you're going to use, and do it like as a 1 month kind of thing, kind of like it's like the people that subscribe to Netflix like once a month for a year, and then like just watch everything in that month, and then, you know, unsubscribe and like, well, I'll be back next year to watch all the stuff I want to watch because you don't have a lot of selections, you know, stuff like that. So there's options, you know, we've kind of talked about them before here and there, and this is kind of like that one of, you know, you just have to kind of get a feel of when whatever you're doing needs a little bit of a umph of like a visual kind of thing, you know, even if it's a very simple map, whether to help you, whether to help your players, kind of get a feeling of that, you know. As I said, the very basics, even if you're not like doing that, having like a little drawing of something, like, you know, more than just a description helps, you know, especially if you don't have like a book providing you with like a map of something, you know, getting you that idea of like where everything is, especially where those details might help you running it even a little bit too, you know. That my example of exploring a building where it's a bunch of different rooms, yeah, it might help me to visualize that too, just to have a little drawing, you know, and know where everything is on that. So if players ask questions, I can give good answers. Might help. Anyway, this is a quick little start that I want to do a little bit more on this one. I don't know if this... Look, I'm not going to lie. It's been a long time since the last time we did this, and I probably should have had this companion before then. So maybe we're repeating a bunch of stuff. But maybe we went a little different directions. But hopefully it helps, you know, if you missed that one.
I could talk about maps for hours.
Yeah. I do have more topics that are related to maps. So we might have to get to those at some point in time. You know, so we'll see. Maybe we can do like a topic of some time choosing the right map. Ooh. That's a good one for like that. For when you have a bunch of different options, choosing the right one. Because as much as like generic street might help, maybe there's a better one, and finding like, you know, a better way of doing that, you know, street battle. I don't know. Maybe that's something to explore at some point. Anyway, all right, let's move on to our week in gaming. Hey, so Joe's game.
We had Joe's game.
Did you guys TPK?
We didn't, because not without Joe trying hard to. I shut down the battle because I remembered I had Wall of Force. And turns out Wall of Force, nice. I can do this nice little dome. So I stuck a goddamn guy in a dome and ran out of the room while everybody else finished off his little minions, who tried their damn hardest. I had to use 2 spell slots because they actually had me break my concentration, so I had to do it again to shut that guy down a second time. Though I put him with a friend of his the second time.
And then me and the thief snuck off, because I'm apparently the only one other than the hired thief that has a stealth score. And we explored the place while the other group ran, and then I teleported us 2 out because
I'm glad that you guys didn't take 20 d6 damage from an orb.
I did.
I mean, he did. Oh yeah,
yeah, but
we both did it. We did.
Dies.
We did both take 20 d6. But
Yeah,
since we're
but
like high level, we live.
Right, but if Bander dies, that's just freedom for him.
Yeah. That was before I put him in this thing.
How often can he do that?
It's a recharge.
It's a recharge.
Oh,
he did it twice. So that's that definitely... battle. He did the second time he did it. It was the first time he got out of the shield. Fortunately, and get a 5 or a 6. I was outside the second time he did it, so I like basically popped around the corner and was like, "Wall of Force again." I'm like out of spell slots.
Also, I mean, I'm looking at this stat block. Why didn't he just dispel magic your Wall of Force?
Dispel doesn't work on it.
You can't.
Does
you can't
work?
dispel Wall of Force.
Oh,
no, he can't dispel Wall of Force.
You have to use Disintegrate, which I had.
Wait, no, the Hellfire Orb is 1 per day.
No, it depends on which stat block he was using, because they changed it.
Oh.
Probably
because it was broken before.
In 2025, it's a recharge.
He was using the 2025 stats. Oh boy.
Which are more overtuned if you're not using.
We're 2024. We're 2014 characters.
Yeah, so that's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's rough.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. It was fine. We got through it. It's just the thing of like, we had to jump over
we got through it by
to finish the area, because it was like, you know, I was all in the opinion of like, you know, Joe wanted to be like, you can still do this, and I'm like, our characters wouldn't think that. So I fought against him tooth and nail, and you know, it's everybody else. We discussed it without Joe's help because he was feeling like, you can still go, and we discussed it as characters, and we're like, hey, look, you know, maybe we're not screwed. This guy seems like he was trapped in here. We found out some information. Maybe we can keep going. And I'm like, okay, cool. You know what? 10 minutes. Scout out what you can. Maybe we can find the thing quick enough. And you guys were like,
that's how long his force lasted.
I could concentrate on it. Yeah.
We did find out that he was trapped in that location and couldn't chase us.
Yeah.
But he could still raise an alarm, which is why it was good that he was force caged.
Yeah.
Yeah, but ultimately, we found the dungeon part of the dungeon. So we're gonna teleport into that area later.
So I'm not gonna lie.
Nice.
Joe revealed the map, and I'm gonna take a step back here. That place was awful. What the hell was he thinking about us going there? Nothing there was good.
He had an idea. And
so here's the thing.
He executed the idea.
So I know. Let me put it this way. I know Joe well enough to where he would probably have just made each encounter its own encounter and didn't expect us to encounter more than like 2 encounters. Like I can tell that like, and what he would have done is as long as people fought, maybe one of the groups might have tried to get help, but yeah, he revealed the whole map. Like one of them was like a werewolf and 2 other things.
It's like a druid. A werewolf and a druid.
Yeah.
And then like there was a whole bunch of night guys in another room, and like there was nothing pleasant for exploring the place and trying to find this thing. And it was like there was no way to like easily find the dungeon. Like you guys took some time and found it and stuff like that, which was good.
It was I was able to logic it out. That wasn't that hard.
That's good, you know.
Like that's the thing. Like, okay, we knew from our scouting of the outside that what was the greenhouse, because we obviously didn't want to go there. When we opened that one door and heard like chairs and tables as like, you know, and stuff, it's like, okay, well that's obviously the kitchen. So that rolled out 2 large areas, and we kind of knew where the front area was. So
but again,
I'm like, okay, well let's try this little area by the stables.
Stealthy, invisible, exploring.
Yes.
Like if like the information we had from beforehand didn't help with any of that at all. And also, we are not stealthy.
I agree.
You know.
Well, I mean, it did help us know that the greenhouse. Like the reason we went to the chapel is because, you know, to be fair, I actually do think that was kind of lucky that we got, because I was thinking it was kind of within 2 areas, and it was the first area I went to. But I did notice that if we went to the other area, it could have been really bad. Because I thought it was somewhere in that like gatehouse building maybe would go to the basement, but it was apparently next to the gatehouse, and I'm glad I went next to the gatehouse first, because having to go into the gatehouse could have been bad.
I'm not gonna lie, like the sheer fact is that the hoops we had to go through, which to make it so, like we talked to the guy and basically said like we were robbing stuff, and then because I don't know, and I tried to deceive him, the undead guy, you know, I'm like, hey, let's grab some stuff and get out of here, which unfortunately our 2 guys got cursed. Why were the cursed items?
Oh yeah,
for our guys? That is such a dick move.
Because Joe thought it was funny.
To be fair, it is kind of funny.
It is a little, but anyway. I had to goddamn grave rob in order to try to set up the fact that like we were there to steal stuff.
Yeah.
And I like wrote on the one. I thought at the last minute wrote on the one for sigil on it because there was a riot going on or something like that. Because of
we organized a riot so that way we could sneak in here more easily.
So yeah. I think we did an okay job of setting up that maybe some rioters got in and like managed to.
The idea was to make it so when we teleported back in later, they wouldn't be fully on guard.
Yes, and we are a lot more powerful than like. Here's the thing too, though. I'm not gonna lie. We use some very powerful spells. If that guy talks the right, there's just so many problems with everything that happened there. that like legitimately should not work again, because we have to go rest because we fought a goddamn death knight, and managed to run away, but got the shit beat out of us and had to use so many spell slots. Like, just legitimately.
I don't think it's as much of a this wouldn't work. I think it actually could. Like this shouldn't work, but I actually think it's fine. Like, this is totally the kind of thing that, like, it from a perspective of castle defense, it looks like their defenses work.
I'm not gonna lie, that's the only part of it that like feels okay about it. But there are like certain issues that like pop up in my brain about it that, like, if I was someone at that castle, I would do that Joe's not going to do, and this should have caused some red flags. I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe they're so full of them. There's things we can think about, or maybe they think like their defenses are still good enough, or something like that. It's so much of a mess. It's just like, it just feels messy, and it's taken me out of the dungeon to a degree. Like, it's the thing is, I'm fine with it. We made it work. Cool, great. It's just, there's this thing in the back of my mind about, like, I'm less connected with our like exploration here now than I was when we first arrived. I was so on board when we were like, scout this place out, figure out these things, and then like we met the Death Knight, and it's completely cut me off. Like, I'm like half in it now.
I don't think it's that unrealistic. Like, I honestly think it's legitimately explainable. Like, I think some groups would go on high alert for days, but you can only do that for so long, and I feel like most groups, and they were already on alert because there were riots. That was the whole idea.
No, the idea of the riots was to lure people away from here.
They weren't on alert. They were... Well, the riots were just kind of hide some things, right?
It was to lure people away from here.
They were nearby.
Yeah, that's the point. They weren't nearby. The riots weren't nearby, but the idea was they might be on a skeletal crew because they need to send some of their people out to the city to take care of it. That was what we talked about. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look at my notes.
Well, that's what I thought we were saying. Maybe
no, I thought it was just
because I've misunderstood a few times in this game. I'm not gonna lie.
I thought it was to keep other people busy to prevent them from coming as reinforcements if something went wrong.
That might be a secondary thing about it, but I thought it was to like kind of create a distraction that would keep maybe some forces occupied, so that maybe it's either a few less people here, or, as you said, either a few less people or what you said. Both would be very good. That's what the two ideas was. Maybe it would draw some people away. That would help. Or maybe, if something goes wrong, they can't send as many people in. Both of those things were ideas I had.
Apparently, I haven't taken notes since we went through the dungeon.
The other dungeon?
The last dungeon.
Yeah. But that was my thought pattern on it, the entire thing. That what you said was definitely part of it, too. But, I was just like...
Yeah, because, like, I thought it was, like, nearby to, like... Which... in its own way, like, to keep them focused on like threats in a way that, basically, because there's a different type of protecting your establishment from like one thing can cause differences. Anyway, I think it's fine. I don't think it's too bad. Like, honestly, no. I think, let me put it this way, I think Joe has done... I think Joe has done worse leaps in logic than this.
Oh, no. I do agree. There's been worse leaps of logics, and I do agree we've managed to fix it here, and Joe wasn't going to do anything about it. But it's that entire thing of, like, the logic in my brain is still there about it, about, like, this is just a leap of logic that I could not take, It's just, it's taking me out of the game, is what I'm saying, too. It's taking me, it's too much. Joe's leap of logic and Joe's ignoring leaps of logic is just too much for me. And it's his normal steamrolling thing in this case, which, again, it's just been a little too much. Most times it's fine, but like this is one of those times where I'm like, I don't know what he was thinking with this dungeon. This doesn't feel like a balanced dungeon.
I think his balance is terrible.
I don't know why we're fighting this.
Yeah, I mean, I think he didn't expect us to get into a fight, but then why did he make the fight an option? That's kind of like, there are better ways to do it if he didn't want us to get into a fight. But I feel like he didn't want us to get into a fight.
I don't know.
And he made it difficult as like a punishment for failing, but then failing was very likely when
with his setup of the door opening creates light because it's a completely dark room. It's just a completely black room. There's no light in there. It was like,
yeah. Well, also the fact that he's all like, you see this hallway, effectively. He only lit up like a hallway. He's like, this is what you see.
And it was a big room.
And it's like, couldn't peek around a corner? Like,
I did
see-
poke at him about that, and he ignored that. You know, I did
Yeah.
say that, you know, entire thing there.
like I thought it was a hallway. Like I thought, like based on the way it looked, like he said it was a room,
Also,
but I thought it was like
Taking a step back.
an open.
Yes, the guy's undead. Dark Vision doesn't see color. Maybe he wants to have some color in his goddamn life and have some goddamn, like, evil flames or something like that. I'm sorry. If I'm an undead guy, I just don't want to stand around the dark. You know, yes, I can still see, but everything's, like, in a weird black and white vision. Let me get some, like, evil red, ever-burning torches of, like, fire. You know, it's, like, blood red or something that turns the blood red. You can still notice when the door opens, but it's a lot neater looking and eviler looking. Look, if I'm a horrific undead, I'm going to do stuff like that. You know, I like eccentricness stuff too. Why can't he have it?
Yep. Anyway, we can move on.
Open flames are an OSHA violation.
Probably not. We'll move on. Anything happened Monday or Tuesday?
Monday we had big battle. Killed 4 wizards.
Wiser.
Big fight. Jay's character and mine almost died twice. But it worked out fine. And we killed lots of guys. And now we're being held as the chosen ones who are gonna save the planet from all the evil humans. Which is fine. Ignore the fact that one of our party members is a human.
Wait a second. I'm no, don't tell them. Don't tell them. Don't let them know. Like, look, it's fine. It's fine. They haven't noticed. Wow.
It was just an all combat. It was a lot of combat. And now we get downtime.
Cool. How'd Tuesday go then?
Tuesday, mixed bag. We stormed the Temple of Asmodeus, which it apparently looks like a level from Doom because the walls have glowing pentagrams and that's their lighting system, which seems really inefficient.
Cool.
Again, lots of combat. We learned they're trying to summon Mephistopheles, which I feel like wouldn't work. I feel like you can't just summon an archdevil on a whim.
Also, I'm not going to
like
lie.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, that's one thing. But also, like, of the archdevils, I feel like he's probably not. He's powerful, but he's also probably not the best, like, decision. Because if you're like Serpents of Asmodeus, he's the guy that kind of.
I don't know. That's the one they're summoning for lore reasons, I guess.
Why lore? He's the one that like is like, I'm gonna be super Asmodeus. Don't worry about it.
I guess the Thrune guy we're fighting made a deal with him for power.
Oh yeah, they might have. You know,
something like that. It doesn't matter. We'll kill them probably. I would not be surprised if the adventure path is like go fight an avatar of Mephistopheles as the final boss. It is a level 17 adventure.
Well, you know, so the story is just now like.
So the story is we've taken the city back. Now we have to kill Thrune to fully liberate the city, and then we have to start liberating the actual country and find a way to stop Cheliax from actually just reinvading. I don't know. It's definitely been a weird time. Also, Lightning has left the game, unfortunately, because he was not having fun.
No.
It is what it is. So now we have 3.
He left our game because he wasn't having fun around level 17 as well.
Well, we're only level 11.
Oh.
We still have 2 more books of this shit left.
It's the unfortunate thing that I think you have to be careful with adventure paths, or they can kind of become yucky stale and stuff like that.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
He's been 2 Pathfinder games to completion before, so
yeah.
I think it just
fair.
sometimes the AP does not jive with the player.
That's true.
That's
Also,
fair.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to take a look and pick up this thing called Scarwall and be like, this is the death of this
Yeah,
adventure.
no, that adventure sucked because of that.
Like,
That was a terrible dungeon.
Yeah, like there was some problems up before there, but I feel like that was like that like last nail in the coffin of that point in time.
Mhm.
We'd managed to make most of those things work.
Because
You know.
The horse
Yeah.
broke its legs before, but that was definitely the shotgun to the head.
yeah, no, it was
The horse would have had broken
Scarwall
legs, but we
sucked.
could have like left it there, fed it some stuff. It would have been okay, fine. We could have lived with it, you know, being like sitting there, being okay. But now we just, you know, just sorry, horse. We're done.
Yeah, I understand not wanting to finish out this AP. Urban adventure paths are very much a mixed bag a lot of the times, especially if you're playing a ranger or druid.
Yeah.
Which the book, by the way, said was fine, and it wasn't.
Ah. There definitely are some adventures where certain classes and stuff are just like kind of bad. Here's the thing. I think I should have said that to goddamn Joe. I'm like, what? Be better on your drones.
Yeah, you need to stop. You need to say no more.
I'm not gonna lie. Like again, like the basic concept of a drone rigger wouldn't have been bad. It's just his specific build.
Like, that's the thing. Like, it was when I like, again, it would have been fine if he like did more than just one thing. The problem is he did 10 freaking dog drones. It's so unnecessary.
It is what it is.
Yeah. I guess we can talk about
like, you
that.
could have had a few more spy drones.
Yeah,
You could have had like other things. There were so many other things you could have done.
So it was oops all brothel. Getting to the.
We learned an
dancing
unfortunate amount about Nox.
You did learn a lot about Nox.
We learned a lot about
we learned
some of our party members.
Yeah, we learned that 2 of our party are gay.
Yeah. You know, you
Yeah.
learned that, and you of course learned that Nox hadn't been with anybody ever, so this was his first time.
I didn't need to know. quite honestly.
You know, there just definitely was some like, well, that's, you know, I don't, you know, here's the thing. I'm not gonna lie. I think I've said it here. This is a direction the book didn't really account for in a lot of ways. The book's idea was you go there and you basically either scout it out or what's the word I'm looking for? Stake it out. You know, it's just go for the stakeout and then like figure out a way to get it there.
I actually considered staking it out, but then we were like, nah, we have a time slot, we should go in.
Yeah, I mean, like,
well, that was already something you did, you know?
This is the beauty of Shadowrun, is it's a very open-ended game, even within following an adventure.
Yeah.
Is it always the best that it's so open-ended? No.
It's a mixed bag.
Sometimes it really doesn't work that well, but
it's definitely been one of those things that it's been like, it's been interesting, but it's just I don't mind the direction you're taking at very least, is what I'm going to say. It's not like too bad of a direction. Like
the biggest problem I have with this adventure is the fact that I cannot interact with 60% of the NPCs.
At least you can when it comes to like
better soon.
Yes, as soon as you get to stuff related to the goddamn auction, you're okay. But here's the thing too. Most of those NPCs most of the NPCs I first established were fine with you. The kid, as much as the kid is, you know, of the area boys, he's like a young member that's part of Slugger's group. Uno or something, like I can't remember his exact name. He's all about you are foreigners, I can get money from you or something like that, you know. So it doesn't matter, you know. Or probably even Slugger would have been probably made deals with him or something like that too. But again, he's like a next step up.
Slugger probably would have asked if you wanted to like join a brothel or something.
Yeah, then he might have got shot in the face.
Yeah, but it is like it's the direction that some of the choices have taken you deep into like messing around with the worst part of the city.
I blame Nox.
Nox really did take that direction.
I blame Nox.
Nox is way too buddy with these people, but that's also kind of
as long as it gets me my like million credits, I don't care.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, as long as you
Yeah,
get a big chunk of money, it doesn't matter. It's been interesting, but like, yeah.
What? I'm waiting for the point where Nox just has a breakdown because the party is 3 absolute freaks. And then Frosty's there too, who's even weirder.
Yeah. Frosty is just even weirder. I'm not gonna lie.
I know her lore. She's a freak.
She is a very unique character. Look, she didn't choose the path she took. Her father having an affair took the path that just had the choice that she's left on.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is sometimes.
I do like her character though.
I think she's cool. She yelled at us in the chatter game I was in. She yelled at us like she was our mom. She gave us a very stern talking to about playing with dragon artifacts.
You haven't done anything that bad yet. Like, I feel like, she'd yell at the other 3 of your group. You've proven to be at least, like a reasonable person. And,
I killed 4 people in front of her.
Yeah, she'd just be like, I was half wanting to do that too. She was really thinking about that also, so it wasn't that bad. She's like, yeah, I was kind of thinking about doing that. And then, like,
I haven't done anything. What are you talking about?
I feel like it probably would just be yelling at Nox.
Yeah, someone's got to rein that guy in. I don't know. He'll go fist fight the cyborg and get exploded, and then we'll be free.
I mean, if Joe started actually playing his character and started cursing at people, I think that would be she'd probably yell at him. But
that would be funny though.
Force that man into more social interactions.
Really need to.
I actually think you need to talk to Joe about stop saying, "Oh, I can't talk because I'd curse at people," and just say, "Just do it."
Yeah,
Just do it for content.
Yeah, do it for content. Look, there's a goose in your wagon for content.
Yeah, I guess we have a goose now. A magical goose.
I really didn't expect Nox to pick it up and take it.
Wait, you didn't?
You
No!
That's the least surprising thing that happened. That
Yeah,
session.
right?
I didn't know he would take it.
This man wanted to steal a lizard.
Yes, I know, but I thought you talked him down enough.
I don't talk to Nox. I'm not his babysitter. He's a grown man.
He's a grown man.
If he wants to get eaten by a magical goose, that's him.
Oh God. I'm so entertained by him taking the goose. I'm not gonna lie. That was my favorite thing that happened.
Look,
there.
you have to work it into the plot. No.
And look, I was already half working things with that in the plot. There was things going on, so now it's just like it helped improve the plot. There's a couple of things that have like changed the plot in weird ways that I'm like, well, we're doing that now. So I definitely have to figure out how a couple of ways to work it is.
Yeah, I think I would maybe build my character a little differently because I definitely made my flaw choices with the assumption we would still be in UCAS.
Yeah. Definitely like the negative qualities choices are definitely a lot harder to think about, and it's something that I should have considered more, and I didn't realize it.
I made a character that has difficulty interacting with VR and AR. We're in a place that doesn't have that really.
Yeah, so it's not too bad here.
Yeah, it's caused a few problems already, so it's totally fine. And my thing has caused a few problems already, so
yeah. I feel
like I get Joe to cause some problems.
Yeah, I feel like he's the only one that hasn't really played up his negative qualities very well. So kind of have to maybe try to get him to do that. Again, he just wants to sit in his van in his little thing. Where I'm like,
he's a pod boy.
I'm like.
Again, the problem is he gets into a social situation, acts normally, and then goes like, "Oh well, I should stop now. Otherwise, I'm going to start cursing people." It's like. Well, if your character would start doing that at this point, he should do it.
Just have a social situation where I'm not there.
The pod is such a weird thing to do, like, all the time when driving around. It's sort of like...
I get it, but also, like...
That's kind of a rigor thing.
I think it's just kind of boring.
Yeah. he just definitely chose a difficult path. Because it's sort of like you can't go everywhere with of the vehicle.
I mean, he made a one-trick pony in a game where you kind of have to be able to do more than one thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Talk to Blaze about being a vehicle rigger. Blaze always loved doing vehicle riggers. Blaze made good vehicle riggers that could exit the vehicle and do stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Granted, would prefer to be in the vehicle, but didn't have to be in the vehicle. Where Joe's like, Joe, I know, feels like he has to be in the vehicle all the time rather than prefer to be in the vehicle. It's like, well, I have an option of going in or being in the vehicle. Well, I should go in to be like, give some support to everybody so we can work together. Nope, vehicle.
My rigger, when I made it, was a drone rigger, but I chose not to have a vehicle. Instead, my friend was playing a troll, and we decided we're friends, and he carries me on his back everywhere I need to go because I got little legs. So he had like a baby carrier for me just to sit in.
That's kind of wonderful. Look,
I have little stubby legs. I can't keep up.
It will always remind me of there's another set of characters that I was running a Shadowrun game. I think it was 3rd edition, and I had 2 characters, and one was who went by Nitro and the other Tank. Nitro's an explosives expert. Tank was just a big troll. And we joked because the explosives expert, if he ever blew up, he couldn't damage Tank because he was such like he was actually built like a tank. But you know, it never happened. But it was a funny little mix between the two of them. And then one of the characters died, and Tank tried to fix him and critically botched a medical check. So
nice.
Unfortunately, tried to reassemble the person after they'd been like chopped in half by something, and basically then because poor Tank was also had like 1 intelligence, he tried to carry him around for a while. It was very funny and very sad too. You know, he was trying to help out one of his other friends that he made, and you know, it was carrying around a body in a baby carriage because you know he kind of like strapped him to his back. It's like, we'll get him some medical help, don't worry about it. He's got a foot for an arm. Look, Shadowrun can have some dark humor. Anyway, anything happened the rest of the week?
Today.
Just today. Anybody else do anything? I don't think I did anything.
No, I didn't do much.
So today, we got a whole bunch of we kind of gathered everything up. I built a cart so that way we could haul our dragon horde of loot back.
Mm-hmm.
It literally required like 30 chests worth of stuff, and like while other people were building the chests, I built a cart because I'm a tinker gnome and I can do that quickly because rules.
Yeah. Classic.
It even made music as it drove.
Nice.
But yeah. Otherwise, we got back. Finally told the dwarves. Basically, we were sent on this mission because dwarves didn't like that people were attacking their trains, and then we found out where the people who were attacking the trains were. We went here, got the person. They interrogated the person, and because he wouldn't talk to us. And they found out that he's related to this other thing, and the train robberies were apparently a distraction for this other thing to potentially happen, but we don't know what that other thing is yet. And so we're gonna go and look into that for them. But it's apparently out of this place called the Maglufto or whatever. I don't know. This other location.
Interesting.
And that's basically where we did. So.
Okay. Well, that was our week in gaming. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very curious what your plans are overall for getting a bunch of freeing a bunch of prostitutes, getting them out, along with capturing an orc guy. Probably like just, you know, magic ninja. Best to describe that guy. He kind of is, you know. This is like the second like weird ninja guy that you're gonna fight. I mean, like, because I guess the other guy, the elf guy, kind of is like cyber ninja too, you know. And so I guess every adept is. I'm just calling it ninja now. But we'll see how that goes.
I mean, if I can get a non-lethal sniper shot to his dome, I could probably knock him out in one go.
He'll
Definitely.
just break his leg so he can't run away.
I mean, we'll have to see. We'll have to figure out what your plan is. I'm just curious how it's going to go. 'Cause it might go. It's probably going to go crazy, as I assume every plan we ever make ever goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the fun of Shadowrun, is your plans never go to plan.
Yeah. Or they just end up being something weird, and I'm like, that's a plan that you've made. Great. Okay, we're doing that now. Yeah. So, anyway. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hope you had enjoyed our little show here. I'm ready to go get dinner, make something here. I'm going to throw it over to you two for any kind of shout-outs you have. I assume, Momo, you don't have a lot to shout out if you have anything.
I got nothing.
All right, then we throw it over to Quirm for your shout-out.
Yeah, I'm DiamondWyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm or at DiamondWyrm on Twitter and Blue Sky, and DiamondWyrm9, and just DiamondWyrm on YouTube. I fell back into my old one. Tomorrow I'll be streaming probably more Silk Song.
Ooh, nice. Hi. This is my channel, Dracovin. If you want to check out either this episode later on, if you've watched only part of it, or want to see the VOD of it, or anything else, all the off episodes get archived over on my YouTube channel for all my tabletop stuff, like all of A Frosty Job and any other TTRPGs that I run, or all the tabletop stuff I end up over there. So go check that out on the Dracovin Empire. All the links are down below for various social media and places to check that out. I will be back, of course, on Tuesday as my next schedule. Enjoy some uploads over on YouTube in the meantime. On Tuesday, I'll be probably, honestly speaking, playing a little bit more God of War 2018 and doing a little bit more of Magic deck building as we continue the current cycle of revised Antiquities Arabian Nights decks that I'm building before I move on to the next group of stuff after that. Yeah, and expect some more gaming stuff, of course, and other things during the week, and more Frosty Job in there. And yeah, that should be around 2 o'clock I'm aiming for. I'm trying to do the Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, at least aiming for 2 o'clock. I'll let everyone know if there's any kind of changes to that schedule, though, when I find out. Yay, life. But anyway, all right, everybody, have a great rest of your weekend, and until the next time, the next week, I'll say goodbye, farewell to you all.